Ready? Let's go live and take a look at all this stuff, yo. It is pretty cool. Let's see. I'm looking at the wax market right now. I'm just on the 15-minute chart because it is pumping and moving kind of aggressively. Let's take a look. What's going on? All right. Pool. Yep. Yeah, we fell out of range slightly with what our wax position is here. Let's see. Also, it looks like the wax tools chart seems to be cruising on up. This is one that I did a few weeks ago, just on a personal wallet with 1,000 wax. You can take a look at this. If I go to the index bank to my account on this wallet, it cost me 1,000 wax exactly to buy these tokens, which I've then staked. And you can see if I want to withdraw, I have a balance of wax here that I can withdraw, about closing in on 2 wax. And then the actual index tokens themselves have appreciated as well. So if I go here to swap, and I can go to sell index token and sell that amount, it's also up almost 20 wax. So closing in on like 2% profit in maybe 3 weeks or so on pretty incredibly passive position here. So I'll touch on this in a second. Just wanted to go live, let some people get a chance to roll in here, and let's take a look at the wax market while that goes down. Nice. 1.8 wax. Yeah. 22 wax profit. Not bad. Yeah, just messing with the being able to like mess with your liquidity position more actively than once a week is always great, especially when the markets get active and kind of like start moving. You can get really good, really high yield from those pools. In my yield farming wallets, they've been doing pretty well just because the price of wax is going crazy kind of. And yeah, I'm a big fan of that. Once the markets start to move, as a liquidity provider, you start to make some pretty good profits that way. Let me take a drink really quick. Get my little orange juice. But yeah, let's see. To the moon, baby. Yeah, let's see if we can make it back to $1. That'd be fucking wild. But like I said, right now I'm looking at the wax chart here on the 15-minute. It's been pumping pretty nicely. Big old, so we're looking at KuCoin. Big old green bar here for a little bit of a buying frenzy in the last 15 minutes. But even if we go back out to the full day chart like we've been looking at, this is kind of where I have my limits marked out. You can see that in the last few days, just climbing ever since we got our kind of like print for the bull here. We've been running from, this is from, oh man, just under 4 cents, like 3-4 cents, almost over 100% profit from here to here. Like definitely a nice little run up. Let's take a look on the wider frame too here. On the weekly chart, I'm gonna reset. Actually, I'm gonna zoom in. But it looks like here on the weekly chart, we are actually finally starting to see the strength band kind of indicator flipping to green in the last few weeks. So starting to push up, and then like I have marked out these resistance support levels. You can see this top resistance level here. The next one we're headed to is around 8 cents or so, 8.5 almost. And there's not a whole lot of resistance between. It's a little easier to see on the daily. There's not a whole lot of resistance between, this orange support line that we've drawn out, and you can see once we had kind of like pushed up to it and broken above it. Then we got rejected, and we did retest just like we were expecting to in the past week to the previous level here. And then almost immediately, once we finished that retest, bounced right back up to that. We're hovering right around this support level, and now it looks like we're starting to break up again. And like I was saying, there's not a whole lot of resistance between, this orange line and the next red line here. You can kind of see that also. Basically based on these moves here, not a whole lot of support maintaining these moves down, when we pushed down, this was kind of like a push back up to this red line being the support level. And then since then, again, huge drop, no support between there and here to bounce, kind of bouncing up, retesting one more time. And then once we did fail to maintain support here, we had been pushing lower and making kind of new lows for our bear market here for wax. And so that seems to be hopefully coming to an end here. It's definitely a little early to like get too like aping all the way in here, but absolutely we are now bouncing off of our previous resistance. We've definitely turned that resistance. So here it was resistance, pushed us back down, and then we've retested resistance, and now we've flipped that to support. You can see here in the last few days where we broke above and then tried to like retest back down, but nope, it bounced and it became our support. So this is like an SR flip. So so support resistance flipped. We flipped the resistance into support, and that is generally what we want to see to expect a move to continue going up. And once we did see that here, and now you can see that move is starting to kind of gain momentum, definitely today. And I think that momentum is not necessarily needing to slow down until we hit our previous resistance level up here. So we definitely have some room to keep running.
Change your title. You called this Wax, or you call this fucking Tech Tuesday. It's Wednesday, yo.
Oh, force of habit. It is Wednesday.
I just listened to like hour-long Wax Q4 updates, the technical updates for Wax. So I made like a notepad and took notes. So we'll go over that. Well, some pretty big updates. I guess just to
I haven't had a chance to hear that one. So yeah, I'm excited to hear. I think Wapaka was mentioning some of the adjustments to like the like the 2% taxes, you know, like network fees that they
Wax DeFi entirely. Like they're just discontinuing it, so there will no longer be a 2% tokenomics fee on the marketplaces, and they're going to just stop using Wax E. They're going to create a pool, like all of the liquidity that's in the pool right now. They're going to move to a ERC Wax P, so no longer Wax E, that paired with USDT instead of Ethereum. So that's where people will be able to source their Wax on Ether if they want, and then they're just going to completely discontinue Wax E and then also get rid of Wax G, because they're like, the whole point of Wax G was to vote on Ether DeFi, and they're removing that, so there's no longer a use case. So that means you should probably burn any Wax G you have if you're
burn or sell. I guess you could check what's the better deal there. Yeah, we can take a look at that too. Actually, that's a good point. Damn, that's interesting. Although I was a big fan of that pool, I thought that was really cool to be able to own a share of all the NFT volume on the blockchain. That was really cool. But
me too. The part I don't like, I thought they were going to move it to Wax. Like that's sort of the understanding I got from Lucas last time we talked. So I'm bummed that they're not just keeping the system and moving it to the chain they're actually friggin' on. So it makes sense to like create big liquidity over on Wax. But I also like their whole
that
thing
pool on Uniswap is still millions.
Like, isn't that good for burning? Like, if anything, they should have just like kept the fee and then been like, no, we're not doing Wax DeFi, but we're just going to burn 2% of all the
exactly. Because that was definitely a portion of that 2% was being, I think it was 20% of it, because only 80% of it was distributed to the pool participants. The 20% of the 2% was just burned out of circulation to kind of.
He did say though, like it makes sense why they discontinued. He said like around 100 wallets are participating. So like very few people are actually getting those rewards. You and I are two. Or what is that fucking?
Yeah, we're 2% of the Wax DeFi scene.
So, Jesus, like, I understand why, but again, like I feel like they could have kept the system and just either not distributed rewards or distributed them differently. So I feel like if they made that over on Wax, like hey, pair this new USDT from Wax on Alcor, like I should have hopped into that, but I guess the point was to try to get liquidity over from Ethereum so that no longer like just having a massive pool on Wax wasn't the goal of that in the first place. So that's not what they're trying to do. But that was kind of I don't know. I guess it's bittersweet. I enjoyed being in the pool, but also it was not doing what it's supposed to be doing. So, and I don't know, less marketplace fees is better for the user. It's hard to argue against that. Like You get
That's true.
more
It keeps it a little more
people selling
competitive
stuff
too.
now.
Let's see. I'm curious to
You
see
want to
how
finish
deep that
your
pool is.
market stuff, or do you want to dive into the rest of this wax updates?
Yeah, let's dive into the updates because I was just kind of like tertiary, like looking at the wax market, just because it's in like active kind of like pump mode at the moment. But let's see, wax E. I'm curious how deep that pool is, because like you said, if they had moved this to wax, like that would kick the like liquidity depth on wax up to like
I also think
you
the
know
majority of this
new
pool is held by
highs.
the wax team too. So like, not
Yeah,
only are there only 100 users, like 90% of that is just going back to the wax team's wallet. But they said that they're going to move into USDT, so that's why they're not moving it all over to wax, is because they want
it's
people
almost
still to be able to
$6.5 million. Yeah,
They want
like
people to
that's
still be able to buy wax on Ethereum through DeFi. So they're going to just make a USDT wax P pool and move all the liquidity over there. But it will not be
that's
incentivized.
a lot more liquidity. Also, yeah, not terrible volume. Although, when you have price action like we're seeing today, where like the wax price is up. Here, I'll put my wax price today is kind of climbing.
I think they said the
Almost
last reward will be in December too. So there'll be one last
okay.
month of reward. So I'm not pulling mine yet. I'm going to try to pull it. So I
We're
was a
in that
little
last.
worried. It's like if they remove all that shit, are you going to be able to sell out of it? But I guess with the bridge and stuff, like either way, you'll be
Yeah.
able to bridge. Ethereum is not hard to sell on Ethereum.
No.
And
Yeah.
Wax
You
P is
can,
1-to-1 tradable to Wax P, and that's not going to be shut down immediately or anything. So it
right.
should be not hard to get out of this position if you need to.
Yeah, and let's see. Oh, this was the Uniswap V3 pool, so there's not anything in that. But in the V2 liquidity pool, $6.4 million in here. And even with that amount of liquidity, it does make sense that they're moving away from this, because like on a day like today where we have almost 10% like price appreciation in 24 hours, only $500,000 worth of volume against 6 million. That's pretty weak as far as seeing, what was it called? Seeing like the ratio basically, or like the capital efficiency of the value that they have in this pool. You definitely would want to see like closer to maybe like 10 or 20%. Like I'd say 20, I don't know, like in a lot of active wax or in a lot of active like Uniswap pools, like if I just pull up like some of the more active ones here, like let's go to pools. We can come up here actually and find let's just go actually here.
It's crazy to me
Overview.
only 100 people are participating in that. I felt like that was like the best.
That's such a good deal on wax for
opportunity
sure.
related to wax as far as like just holding a long term. I'm also
Like,
bummed
here's
about
like-
that because like it's nice to just sit on that and be like, yeah, I'm gonna like look back at this in the bull market, but now I'm gonna have to like make decisions on what I want to do with. Maybe I'll move it into. I mean, now that like USDT is incentivized on wax, maybe I'll keep the Ethereum and then move the wax P back to wax, and then just sell half of it into USDT and just be a wax USDT whale.
Yeah, that could be a thing. Although I wonder how if they are gonna incentivize that pool at all, or if it's just gonna be like market fees, and then market fees on
incentivizing it.
Oh yeah. Oh, if they're moving it into this one, yeah, for sure. Those pools
they're
are
not moving it at all. They're keeping it on Ethereum. I'm talking about my own personal.
Oh, you'll move it here. Yeah, that'd be good too. I think I like this pool. It's still 50% APR on this is solid.
I think just the wax P side though, because I want to like part of the reason I like that pool is I want to be holding Ether. It's like I want a decent stash of Ethereum, so I'll probably just hodl my Ethereum and then move the wax P back to wax and then figure out what to do with it here.
They had made some changes already to the Wax DeFi system where like they were like it used to be that you'd get paid out, like the Wax G was backed with Ethereum, which I really liked that because it's like cool. Like I find Wax is obviously, I would say, more of a risky token than Ethereum. So being able to participate in the Wax DeFi and have the rewards from that pay into Ethereum, it was like, oh, this is like a passive way for me to like grow my Ethereum stack, which that's changed months ago already into the Wax P ERC token side instead of ETH, which also makes sense, from a Wax standpoint, because it was putting sell pressure onto the Wax token. Because they were selling the Wax.
That's why I also think it might be better to burn now. Like if there's still Ethereum left in that pool, like it might be better to burn out now if you want that Ethereum, because the Wax G you can burn, and if it's no longer gonna have any use case, like you can kind of front run the news because this was announced like 2 hours ago. So I assume
Yeah,
that
exactly.
pool will just be drained. I mean, you're always going to get something from it because like there's the amount that there is for WaxG. So it's not like people can steal everything out of the piggy bank and you'll get stuck holding nothing. But I do think the percentage of Ethereum goes down, right, as more people burn out. I don't know.
Yeah, and like and since there is like the option to do targeted liquidity or V3 style liquidity pools on Wax, like you can see how those pools, like how their capital efficiency works compared to that. You know, like here for example, there's $200 million in this pool, and in the last 24 hours, 160 million went traded against it. That's almost, you know, that's like half of the pool's value is turning over every 24 hours, compared to the V3 style pool, where you're seeing, you know, this is like less than 10% of the whole pool is flipping. And even that, you know, that's kind of unfair for me to do like USDC versus ETH to Wax. So like, let's look how, just really quick overview of USDC versus ETH on here we go, on the V2 side. And see, that's also much less capital efficient, but still much higher than 10%. You know, 10% of this would be also like $500,000, or that would be 1%. So this is actually still really kind of shit as far as capital efficiency goes. You're getting only $3 million worth of trade volume against $52 million in liquidity, which means that, you know, 49 million of this is just sitting there doing nothing, as opposed to the V3 format here, where you have, you know, almost all of the pool being actively participating in supplying liquidity. So this is the format that you get
probably be when they recreate the pool. It'll probably be V3, right, for the USDT WaxB.
I hope so. Yeah, I think so.
Can you still make V2 pools, or does it have to be V3?
Oh yeah, you can make V2 pools. Sure, you can come up here.
We don't have a confirmation on what type of pool they will be making, but I could ask Lucas if we really care. But I feel like they'll probably do V3. They just made V2 because that's all that existed at the time.
Yeah, exactly. This is kind of a legacy pool still. So basically this is what's in the pool. There's 1,000, 700 Ethereum paired against 45,500 Wax E, and that liquidity is basically being supplied between 0 and infinity, which is the V2 model. So it's possible that, you know, if they do a V3 pool, and especially if they do it with like USDT, then they may be able to there's not necessarily a reason for them to supply liquidity all the way to 0, for example. Like it's not like they expect their token to go to 0. So then they could target that liquidity and become a little bit more capital efficient in that way. Which is
their plan for that, but they said they want to keep the liquidity over there because like it's hard to source Wax. So
that's fair.
Like if you can't get Wax from a US exchange or whatever from the exchange, then you can always get it through Uniswap. So I think that's why they're not moving all of the liquidity over to like a stable coin on Wax, which makes sense. Like it's a way to get into Wax without already being on the Wax ecosystem, which was the whole point of Wax DeFi in the first place. And then, like it wasn't really working to onboard people in the way they thought it would, but they still want the option for people to buy stuff.
And yeah, I still have thousands of Wax on my like Ethereum wallet too. I don't move it much because Ethereum fees are kind of high, especially lately when the prices have been so active. But yeah, I mean, it would be nice to see deeper liquidity on like Alcor, because like, you know, if we look at Alcor, if I go to analytics here, we can see that, you know, the total amount of value locked in all of the tokens on Alcor is not even $1 million.
It's less than that one pool.
Yeah, and then you have the Wax E pool. Or where is it here? The Wax E pool, you have 6.4. This is like 10 times the amount of liquidity depth compared to all of Alcor. And again, you know, all of Alcor, it includes every token pair on there, not just Wax or the Wax side of it. It's literally like the TLM, the Wombat, and the everything else. Like the Neon, everything on there put together is worth, you know, less than $800,000. And then you can see the capital efficiency here is ridiculously high comparatively. So you have less than $1 million, and then in the last 30 days, that's, you know, producing almost $3 million worth in trade volume.
Like 3 to 4x the amount that's locked.
Yeah. But to be clear, this is over 30 days rather than 24 hours. But still, this is still much more capital efficiency than what you're seeing over on Uniswap, because there's actually people trying to trade these tokens here. You can actually see here.
Yeah, I don't think people really trade Wax. Like, I assume 100% of the trading from Waxy is arbitrage from exchanges. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think
But I
people are
feel like
actually.
even though on Wax chain, like here's Wax USDT. So you have 500,000 Wax tokens here paired against 50,000 USDT. That's about $100,000 worth of Wax, or worth of bilateral liquidity, I should say. And in the last 24 hours, that's putting out $43,000 worth of volume. So this is still like, this is like almost 45 or so percent of the total like value in the pool is turning over. Compared that to the Ethereum side, where we're getting like what was this, like less than 10%. It's like 8.5% or something. So ridiculously more. It's like almost 5 times more volume as far as capital efficiency goes. And so it would have been nice to see, especially I would love to see the Wax team supply some liquidity to the tokens that they issue themselves. Like the Wax USDT, Wax USDC, like those bridged assets, like they're the ones who maintain the bridge. Why don't they, like, why would anybody bridge into Wax if there's no liquidity on the Wax side? And the last few times I've talked with anybody like who has any kind of like idea about that stuff about it, they were like, yeah, the idea is that other people would be able to do it. And it's just like, well, why would other people do it if you won't even do it? Like, you as a team collect, 1% fee to move through those bridges. Why would somebody else?
That's really their goal, though. Their goal is like if people can trade Wax directly from Ethereum on Ethereum, then people can just trade into Wax there rather than on Wax. I don't think they're trying to build DeFi on Wax, especially.
Yeah, but then it doesn't make sense to me why they have all those bridges. Like, why did you bridge in all those assets then? If you,
I think it's so, like, again, like if other people wanted to use those tokens on Wax, they weren't really trying to do anything with them. But
yeah,
after like hearing that they're not moving Wax DeFi to Wax, I would say that is not like they're not.
That's definitely not on their radar. Yeah,
that's not their goal of Wax is not to make Wax a chain where people are trading Ethereum tokens. Like that's not their goal as a team, and they're not working towards that. So I would say
it definitely seems
your interests are not aligned. That is your interest. If your interest is to trade Ether tokens, there's a lot of other chains you can do that on.
Yeah, and that does seem like what it is, what it's about. Where it's like, Wax is basically like a layer 2 chain for NFT transactions, much more than it is for like token trading. Which is fine.
Some of their other updates, which is
let's hear what else. What else was on there?
They are trying to do, which is something they did make was new user discounts. DApps. So this is like live. DApps can pay for user wallet creation, and like if you're a DApp, you can get discounts on bulk creation. So it's like 5 Wax per wallet to create. But if you're say like a game, and you're like, hey, I want to be able to onboard 2,000 people, they might say, oh, we'll charge you like 2 Wax per wallet, and then you just pay it up front, and then users through your DApp can just sign up for the wallet, like, and have it already be paid for. So people that are trying to onboard users through games, and they also said they're working on removing that fee entirely, and they think that the new resource model will allow that, because like the problem with the making it free is bots just wreck it.
Yeah,
and I haven't even gone over the new resource fee. I'll go over that next. But
yeah, that's what I was about to say. What's the new resource model?
The new resource model, they're trying to simplify resources. They're trying to combine RAM, net, and CPU into one transaction fee. So like you as a user don't know what's happening behind the scenes. It's just like, hey, pay 0.02 Wax or whatever for this transaction. So it's going to be more like a gas fee in other chains where all the shit happening in the background is in the background. So you don't need to know how that works. But they said that the resource model staking is primarily going to be used for like super users, like people running smart contracts or dApps, and most users will just pay the resource fees. And they said the resource fees will be like very, very cheap, like fraction of a cent cheap. So like, that's probably going to be, which I don't know what that means as far as if you can still stake the resources. It sounds like you can, but they're definitely leaning towards trying to make it so you don't have to. And they said like you would probably not stake Wax to other users anymore. I don't know exactly what that means, but he's like, sounds like they're trying to phase all of that out. So basically, like if bot farms are trying to bot farm, they're have to pay gas, and it'll be deflationary. So if people want to create free wallets and do a bajillion transactions, it's not going to be free anymore. So you can create free wallets because then all of those leeches will then be deflationary, like making Wax deflationary because they're burning Wax every time they fucking click farm on Alien World. So I think that's sort of the plan. I might be speaking for them when that's not exactly what he said, but it sounds like they're trying to make it so it costs money to use Wax, so you can then you can onboard people for free, and if the the dApps aren't so resource intensive, then you wouldn't have to make your new users pay gas fees. Like if all you're doing is like signing up for a wallet and then it mints gaming items in your wallet and then reads the game items, then the users don't actually need to be using gas fees or anything. So I feel like that's sort of the meta anyway. Like people shouldn't be, every action in your game shouldn't be a transaction. So if it's done correctly, people will be able to sign for free and then also not have to pay anything to play the game. So I'm hoping that's the route they're working towards.
I wonder how much it'll cost to mint like NFT collections at that point, since that is like thousands
that would probably
of
be under like the super user staking situation, but it's not super clear how that's going to work, but that's their intention and what they're moving towards. So what that means as far as like how much can you stake and what does that actually do is not clear yet. It was sort of brushed upon. The other thing they're working on is a Unity SDK integration. So that's I think SDK is standard developer kit, right?
Yep, that's correct.
So people that are developing through Unity can onboard users through games. So basically the Wax wallet runs in the background and people just like sign up for a game account and they don't realize they have a Wax wallet. So it's like, thank you for the subscription, Eric. Yeah.
What up, Eric?
So basically that will all be happening in the background. And users won't need to know. And they're working on having that work through mobile. So like you can play a mobile game and just like, sign up for an account and you now have a Wax wallet, because the thing they're talking about earlier where the dApps can pay for the fees, they're paying to source the account. So the user isn't paying to create a wallet and they're just linking it to like their game. So like much more seamless game, which is what I've been asking for forever. I'm like, people just need to be able to sign up for an email or download an app. Like you shouldn't have to
you shouldn't have to know about wallets at all. Yeah, I totally agree with that, especially for like gaming platforms or collecting. Like people aren't here for crypto. Overwhelmingly, people are here for
saying like this is what they're working towards and not towards DeFi. Like they're not trying to be, there's so many layer 2 DeFi chains. Like that's not necessarily, although the transaction fees would be better for DeFi, that's just not their goal. So like, I'm actually happy with what they're working on as far as like, somebody still needs to launch a viable game on Wax. Like all this shit is cool in theory, but when there's nothing to play on it that I like, it's less cool. But yeah, they're working on it also so that it can work on console. So they're like the Unity SDK thing, you would be able to sign up for a Wax wallet through an Xbox game without knowing that you're signing up through.
That's cool too.
It could work on mobile, console, and PC. So like they're kind of positioning themselves so if they could get the partners and like the technology works so that you could do it on Xbox, like that now works on Wax. So there's no longer like through your Xbox it pops up like, hey, like sign up for a Wax wallet. Go Wax through fucking a centralized exchange where you have the KYC. Like all of that is just going to be happening in the background, which is that's
how it should be, because Wax is definitely like that's where it thrives kind of as like a as a back end tool versus like a front end like user facing thing. Like I mean I like it as a user who understands how to use this stuff, but like it's a tall order to try to ask like your whole community of the users to like understand how to manage resources like stake, CPU, and RAM, and to like understand transaction like throughput and like the network congestion and stuff, and why like a transaction is potentially gonna cost these resources and all that stuff. That's kind of like if I'm just here to play a game,
you're gonna onboard like the actual gaming and collecting communities, like because right now we have like kind of a fringe NFT community, fringe crypto community that's also into these other things. But if you want to actually onboard the mainstream, like those, I don't know, it has to be really easy. Just sign up with an email, sign up through an account you already have an email signed up to, like your Google account or whatever. And I think
I also don't mind paying, like I wouldn't mind paying like a small fraction of Wax to do transactions. If it is like, one Wax lets me make like 1,000 transactions, that's fine by me. As long as it's not like
more deflationary and like cause like the whole bot issue. If it like fixes that so that they can now onboard people for free more easily, then it's like, yeah, I'm willing to pay a fraction of a cent to not have my chain just ruined by Alien World bot farm. So
a fraction of a cent's also nothing compared. like even roll-ups on Ethereum, you know, like if I use Arbitrum or like Optimism or like the base blockchain, like I'm expecting to pay, I'd say between like 5 and 25 cents per transaction, depending on like how complicated of a transaction it is. And 25 cents is quite a bit, you know, like when you compare that to maybe like a fraction of a wax. So it would still be like way, way more accessible than, you know, generally like EVM compatible roll up chains where people are already used to paying, like I'd say on average, maybe 10 cents for a transaction.
Well,
Where,
Pocket says 0.02 wax per transaction would be too expensive. On EOS, it's 0.007 EOS for 30 milliseconds of CPU.
yeah,
So like
there you go.
0.007 wax would be like, yeah,
I would
that's
be
fine.
okay with that. Yeah, for sure. If I could do that,
I
and
don't,
then yeah, with 7 wax, you can make 1,000 transactions. That I'm okay with that.
I don't think they've said like what it's actually like. This is all theoretical still until it's implemented. So I don't know if they've like flat out said this is what it's going to cost. So we'll have to wait to see. That's just what they're moving towards. So that's I don't know,
Yeah.
that's nice to know. And then I guess the last thing they went over that's a current thing that is like kind of happening right now and already. Because I also have an upcoming category, but a current one is the Amazon partnership with Tierno Studios. You can now get you can mint NFTs for blockchain brawlers through Amazon if you have Prime,
Oh.
and they're saying like I don't know. I've seen a bunch of games do it, so it doesn't seem that impressive. But they said it took 1 year to like develop the relationship with Amazon and make sure it can happen. And the same thing where they're saying like brawlers will pay for the wallet sign up, so you can just sign up like through your Amazon account for free and source yourself a Wax wallet, which is kind of combining the thing earlier I was talking about where new user discounts and dApps can pay for user wallet creation. So they're like
Yeah.
implementing that through Amazon. So like this stuff isn't just theoretical. There's places where it's actually happening and Amazon's marketing the game so people can sign up without paying anything through Amazon and mint NFTs into their wallet to play the game.
That's pretty cool too. Yeah. I wonder if that becomes prohibitive though for those users who sign up through like, you know, a specific dApp or specific application, if they'll then still be able to go over to Alcor and make a swap, or if that would be like outside of the scope of what their wallet pays for them, you know, and then at
I
that
don't know
point they
that
would have
people
to.
need to do that even necessarily if you're only interested in like game stuff. Because then like if you get the if you get your NFT, then you can just like they're going to integrate they're trying to do Unity SDK VRL integration too. So through your game, you could
Right.
list your NFT on the VRL market, and you never need to fuck with anything outside of Unity. Like, and that's sort of how it should be. Like, the marketplaces should be in the game, and you shouldn't have to like. I don't know if you could. That's a good question. Like, if you want to learn
Right.
how to do the crypto part of it, but as far as the ease of onboarding and like allowing non-crypto users to use it, like this is the direction I've been asking for forever. So it's
Yeah.
nice to see them do that again. Like I don't know if Brawlers is going to be the game that saves Wax that onboards a ton of people. So I still do think we need a developer talent, game developer talent, and something that's a
Yeah.
flagship product, like something that's actually going to onboard users. Because just
And that's what
having all
the
the stuff theoretically isn't like the tech
right.
being great. The tech's been great for a long time. That doesn't just make people show up. You need a product for people to show up.
Yeah. I also feel like was it no, I totally forgot what I was about to say. Oh yeah, that's kind of what the SDK will help with, the Unity SDK, where it's like you can easily have like Unity developers build their products or build their games on Wax without having to be like blockchain developers. You know, if the SDK handles the backend for them, then great. They don't need to learn some new thing or some new like coding environment or blockchain Web3 kind of stuff. They can just do what they're already doing, build their Unity game, and easily use Wax as their backend, which might actually make it attractive to independent like developers, because if you're using Wax as its backend, then that could potentially offload some of your own like needs for servers and all that stuff, since Wax can keep track of your user assets and all that stuff for you, which that could be really cool.
I'd say overall, I'm pretty happy with the updates. Like, I don't know, stuff I've been talking about for months and months and months, they seem to actually be working on and like working towards solutions for. And it
Yeah.
doesn't like instantly save the chain. It's like not like, oh yeah,
Right.
like Wax is now going to explode with a bajillion new users in real games and stuff. But like at least it's providing the opportunity that didn't really exist before. And I think they're focusing on the right things. Like I think this
Yes.
is more
That
important than like trying to create DeFi on Wax. So as much as I would have loved like Wax
yeah.
DeFi being weird Wax, like that's not really going to attract the user base we want to play games and like They're trying to attract
Yeah.
gamers and stuff. Not
Realistically, 100 people would have moved from Ethereum to Wax and then done the same shit. The same 100 people. And I feel like Ferris is making a decent point. Yeah, if you sign up through Amazon, then you would basically already be KYC'd because your Amazon accounts are, at least when I made mine, like that has like a lot of my personal information attached to it. So it kind of also gives avenues for like, KYC access. And you can obviously, I imagine you can still create wallets, the old fashioned way by just, creating an EOS key pair and
the real
creating the
question
wallet.
though is going to be, will the developers of these games and stuff allow logins besides the web cloud wallet and stuff? Like, is it going to be,
Yeah.
I guess you can still make a web cloud wallet without, but for like the average, I don't think the average user cares about KYC, if we're going to be honest. Like, the average person just wants to be able to sign in easily. Like, they're not worried about what people that like, that's a very like Web3 decentralized, like,
concern. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, if the cloud wallet logs into stuff, then we should still be able to make a cloud wallet of our own without having it linked to your Amazon account. So I feel like you should be able to access all this stuff without it if you know what you're doing. But then the average person just has an easier use of access.
Yeah. And yeah, when we're talking about it's like the Wax core team, the team that's making these decisions about.
This was all reported on by Lucas, the CTO of Wax. He did a like hour-long Twitter space this morning. I listened to it before our stream and I took notes, so I'm just going over what he said. So when I say they, it's Lucas and the core Wax team. But yeah, that's what just happened. Those are all the current things. Just to summarize: new user discounts. dApps can pay for users and get discounts on bulk creation. Simplify the resources. Except that hasn't happened yet, but they said they're like currently working on it. They're getting close to it. Wax DeFi discontinued by the end of the year, so at December will probably be the last month of Wax DeFi rewards. Wax G and Wax E will be phased out entirely, and they'll change it to Wax P. Pair it with USDT on Uniswap.
I think that's a good move too, because that was a little convoluted, where it's like, oh, one Wax E is 1,000 Wax P. It's just like, why? Why isn't it just 1-to-1? So now it is 1-to-1. Yeah,
that all makes sense. And the Unity SDK integration and Amazon partnership, that was kind of like the Q4, what they did in Q4. And what's upcoming for next year is they said they want to incorporate social media aspects into the cloud wallet and VRL marketplace. They want you to be able to like have friends, chat with friends, see what your friends are playing and collecting, and then like have that all linked so you can be like, go to the marketplace and be like, oh, like I'm friends with Max's wallet. This is what Max is collecting. These are the games he's playing, and basically like make communities around. Because they were talking about, they just partnered with Stacks, or what is it? I don't know. Is the new thing that you have to. You also that like Barbarian PFP. If you want to get the free drop for the Barbarian PFP, you have to sign up for some new social media Web3 platform that you can log in with the web wallet. And they're basically like, we like that, but we don't want to rely on a third party, so they're trying to make that native into.
That makes sense to me. Where like, I don't know, that I feel like that has been kind of like missing. It would be really fun to just like, even if it's just like a listing on the Atomic Marketplace, it'd be fun to like leave a comment, be like, hey, this is absurd. Like no one's gonna buy this shit. Or so just like to be able to like chat. That would be hilarious to me. I feel like that would actually like, that'd be fun. And I would love to see something in that direction, like creating a little bit of a social kind of like environment around the actual NFT markets and the communities there. That's really cool.
This is the link to the article where Uncut is like, they partnered, or I don't know if they partnered with Wax. They're allowing you to sign in with a Wax wallet, and you need to sign up for this by the 14th. So you got like a week. And if you sign up for it, it should automatically whitelist you for the Barbarian drop, which is the new Wax team creating a new PFP that'll be a free mint on the NFT Hive generator. But
nice.
In order to be whitelisted, you have to sign up for that. So if you're interested in a free PFP from the Wax team, it's worth just signing in with your wallet. I made an account, and I'm not super interested, but I do think them incorporating that into both the marketplace and the Wax wallet would be cool in the future. So
I also like the way they look cool. I like them better than like their current PFPs that they have, like the what were they called? The punks, or not the punks. What was it? The one that they're kind of like 3D guys. I have a few.
Yeah,
I mean,
punks.
Oh, the V Punk, yeah, or the V Bots too. I like the Barbarians. I think the like art style of that is much more my
I like the
my
2D art
taste.
style. It almost looks like a not Thundercats, but like it almost looks like a one
Yeah,
of those style cartoons. The ones where the
yeah,
guy's
it
like
does.
He-Man. It looks like He-Man is what it
Yeah,
looks.
it totally. Yeah, those guys could totally be like He-Man side characters. That's
The
funny.
other two things they said that are upcoming is multi-chain support for the cloud wallet. So users cannot
That's
have to
cool.
change wallet between uh, Ether and layer 2 chains to interact with dApps on Wax. So like they're building all these bridges to these other chains. So it could be like, oh, like I can sign in to, instead of using MetaMask, I can sign into my Wax Cloud wallet. Or that's why they changed it to the Web Cloud wallet instead of Wax Cloud wallet, I think. But sign into the
Oh,
Web
that's
Cloud
cool.
wallet. You can bridge it to like a key it makes for you over there and then like interact. I mean, they'd have to allow you, but like OpenSea or like whatever, you
Right.
can move back and forth between those dApps over there and these dApps without having to sign up with the new one. But we'll see.
Yeah, that's a cool. I like that too, actually, because I feel like that was always a weird thing where it's like, oh, you can bridge, and you need to like sign in with your other wallet, and then you can move it between them. Which I mean, it works, but
It's
it's
going to
nice
be
that
pretty
they're
hard to get market share on MetaMask, as being
yeah.
realistic. But just having the option is pretty cool.
I've been
And then
actually using was it Rabby lately, which is made by the DBank team. That wallet fucks, dude. It's so fucking nice. For EVM chains. Like unlike MetaMask, you don't ever have to like, you know how like in MetaMask, if you're gonna like launch into like let's say Arbitrum or like Harmony or whatever, you have to like add the Harmony blockchain, find the RPC, like type all that shit in. Like this just does it for you. And then the other thing about it is like when you make a transaction in that wallet in MetaMask, it'll show you like the transaction hash of what you're about to sign. Which I mean, I'm not a fucking computer. Like I don't know what that means. And I mean, I know how to like verify and like check what it means, but it's an extra step. This wallet basically does it'll be like, okay, if you're doing, for example, signing permission, it breaks it down where it's like, this is the contract, like the platform, this is the permission you're signing, this is the amount of tokens that are allowed to be signed, and this is how much gas it's going to cost. And it like really like makes it easy to understand what you're doing. I've been using that wallet like a lot more than MetaMask lately. And fucking rocks. And it also has a transaction simulator. Before you sign a transaction, it'll show you what's going to happen. And so like for example, like there's been a few like dexes for where I like will claim rewards from a rewards pool. Sometimes those rewards pool contracts are empty and it'll say, hey, I'm going to claim my Ethereum or my whatever wrap Bitcoin, my USDC, my reward. And in MetaMask, it'll just be like, you want to claim the reward? Here's the transaction. Click confirm. In Rabby, it'll be like, here's the transaction. Here's what's going to happen. And it'll show you if you're going to get, Ethereum or whatever you think you're going to get, or if you're not going to get shit. So you'll be able to see what's going to happen before you actually sign a transaction, which is awesome. Like, I fucking love that wallet. So, and even with all those improvements, yeah, they're still nowhere near the market share that MetaMask has. So yeah, it would have to be a huge step forward to gain market share over MetaMask. MetaMask is like most of that market.
Last thing I wrote down is the ability to recover your wallet if you lose your 2FA. They're implementing a service for that. There's been people that like lose the 2FA that's linked with their wallet and then just get locked out of their web cloud wallet forever. And they're implementing some sort of security measure to be able to recover that. I don't know how that'll work. They said they're testing it now, so
That's cool.
that is also upcoming. But I didn't listen to like the last 10 minutes, but that seemed to be the gist. They also said they're going to implement Antelope is trying to upgrade into like instant finalizing of transactions or something like that. Like, and I don't remember the exact. It's like immediate or instant, but they said that was supposed to be coming this year, and then they delayed it. It's not going to be ready until like summer of next year, which means it won't be until winter of next year on Wax. But that will happen. Oh, and actually, I guess Wapaka touched on it. I didn't really write much down on this. It's almost over my head, but they're trying to work on a part of the new resource model is not all of the RAM. Like everything that's stored in RAM right now is not really sustainable, like growing at the rate stuff is going. It's like pretty much everything is stored into RAM, and then all of that needs to be stored onto hardware by the OIGs, not the OIGs, the
block
guilds.
producers.
Yeah, block producers. So like that just is going to get worse and worse as more stuff is stored and years of information. So they're trying
Yeah.
to, like, as part of the updated resource models, not have all of that stuff stored on the blockchain, and like they're going to have some sort of like hybrid model where some stuff is going to be stored off chain on like servers, and then like only really integral stuff will be stored on change, and that's supposed to instant finality. That's what once you post a transaction is on the blockchain for sure. There's no more wait 180 seconds because the blockchain might be forked. So that's going to happen next summer, and that's going to be for Antelope. So all EOS IO based chains, and be on Wax by like a year from now. That's upcoming. But yeah, also the RAM, they're going to change the way RAM works so that it'll be cheaper for blockchain producers to maintain the blockchain, and that will also make the new resource model less resources for the users. Like it'll cost less for you to make transactions because it costs less to maintain the chain. So part of the whole like, okay, we're going to make it a fee-based blockchain, but we're going to also make the fees cheaper by changing the way it's run. So that seems like a pretty massive overhaul, and that's upcoming in the next year.
That's definitely pretty sweet. I mean, I really loved the whole no transaction fees on Wax. And like that is, I felt like, you know, kind of spoiled by that. And it really like has me using Wax a lot more for just like if I had to, even if it is a fraction of a cent, I'm like a little more hesitant than if it's free to just like, swap shit back and forth and dick around. But I feel like that might also be like
still stake Wax. So I don't know what I don't know what the number is. It might be something absurd, like you need like 30K Wax stake to have free transactions. I don't know what that's going to be, but there is still the option for power users to stake a lot of Wax and have feeless transactions. So that's not going away. It's just the structure of all of that is changing. So I don't know. It's hard to say until they like implement it or give more information. It's just the information they gave today is that, we're working towards that.
Yeah, EOS fees are pretty cheap, but I also feel like EOS is kind of a confusing like resource model, because like you can have staked EOS to your CPU, and that's not enough to get the transactions for free. Then you need to like basically rent the CPU for the 24-hour period that you're using the wallet in. So you still have to like, okay, I have my staked CPU, and now I have to like go and be like, okay, activate it basically to use it. It's kind of tricky.
Now, Mass says, does any of this new stuff affect the Wax sign from staking? I don't think so, because like the 2% market fees that they're getting rid of, or the 2% tokenomics fees, that was all going over to Ethereum. That was not how they pay out the the staked on Wax. And I think that's still going to exist, but I guess I won't know for certain until they release like the new tokenomic structure. Once that happens, we'll definitely go over it, where we'll read in depth and go over this. This is more just like a casual briefing of what they've been working on, more than like the fine specific technical details of how this will be implemented. Like that wasn't really gone over. It's more just like, what were you doing in the last 3 or 4 months? Because they only do these like once a quarter. So it's like basically like, are you guys still working on Wax? Did you fucking bail on us? And they're like, no, like we're working on shit. This is what we're working on. This is what you can expect in the future, and this is what you can expect us to be continuing to work on throughout the next year.
Sounds like a pretty big like list of things that they've like been considering and trying to like adjust. And it does also make sense, while like maybe me and the people who are already here today like the way that Wax works as far as the free stuff and staking to CPU net RAM and all that stuff. Obviously the majority of people who do crypto stuff are expecting to pay transaction fees, because that's just the meta when it comes to crypto in general. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea to move in that same direction, just for this familiarity's sake. When like new users are onboarded, they don't have to learn a whole new infrastructure. They can just be like, oh yeah, I get it. I need I'll put like 10 Wax in my wallet, and then I'll be able to make transactions. Like I don't need to know anything
also,
beyond that.
Like as I was saying, like if dApps are developed correctly, people shouldn't even be having to make transactions. And like the way the web cloud wallet works, the fucking Wax cloud, I keep saying it wrong.
Yeah, the web
cloud wallet, I think that's right actually. The way that shit works anyway though is like you get like 10 free transactions a day. Like the average person that's just playing a game, all you'll ever be doing is listing it on a marketplace. And like
that's true.
If you want to list more than like 10 things a day, which is a lot if you're playing a game, like I don't know how often you're grinding out new NFTs. But most games, like Rivals, I get a new NFT like maybe 3 new NFTs a week. So like if I really want to dick around and constantly list and unlist stuff, then it's like, you're gonna have to pay to use that feature. But the average person shouldn't really even be, that's playing real games and not click farming games, need to do that many transactions. If you're collecting Funko, like, yeah, you might buy and sell a couple of ones, but you're not going to be like doing hundreds to thousands of transactions like we were when we're playing Our Planet or Alien Worlds or any of that stuff. So
yeah,
I think it does exist. I don't know exactly what state it's in, and I'm also like not smart enough to understand coding and developing stuff. So if it did exist, I'd have no way to like verify that you can use it right now. But I think the Unity SDK toolkit does exist. I could be misspeaking on that though. I feel like it'd be cool to get Lucas on here again to like verify these things, but he also seems real busy these days.
Yeah, I'd say so. It'd be fun. We'll go reach out and see if he wants to join us one of these Tech Wednesdays and
yeah, just they seem like they're making progress on everything, and also towards what I've been, because I've actually had long discussions with Lucas about a lot of this stuff. So seeing like they're working towards stuff that I've been like, hey, like I'm over on the Mythical chain. This is how I do stuff. If Wax can't get there, like you're gonna get left behind. Like other people are gonna build on that chain, and chains where like it's way easier to onboard users and for developers to like not have to deal with the crypto side of stuff, and they're seemingly like moving in that direction. So I'm overall very, very happy with how the direction they're moving in, even if like it seems very slow. Like I don't know, crypto moves so fast. Like everybody wants things immediately. Like it's easy to forget that like, it takes a long time to develop this shit. Like it doesn't just happen overnight. And I've always said like Wax is kind of centralized, but as long as they're developing in a direction that I kind of agree with, like I'm happy.
Then I'm okay with it
like,
too. Yeah.
Honestly, I was pretty upset with like the progress in the last like 6 months. And so this meeting kind of like
least, restores a little confidence.
There's like Wax is screwed. Like, what are they doing? Like, they're gonna get left behind. And like this is starting to move towards like, oh, all the things I was complaining about, like most of those are now like being addressed, and actually they're finding solutions for them, creative solutions with like, because the way chain is decentralized, like most of the solutions I wanted are centralized. They're kind of doing like centralization through their own wallet and allowing other developers to use that wallet through the Unity, through like all that stuff. So they're like, yeah, it's definitely not an easy task to undertake, but I'm pretty happy with the updates today. And again,
it sounded like they did have a bit of a timeline for the new tokenomics, saying that they were going to sunset the 2% fee by the end of December. So
yeah, said by the end of the year. But I don't know what that means for the new resource model. I don't know if the resource model will launch at the same time, or if there is a timeline on that. I also I could re-listen to that thing. I listened to it like right before we started the stream, and was also doing something else at the same time, so I might have missed a couple things. But we at least know that Wax DeFi is going to be down by the end of the year, and I don't know if that means the resource model will be, but they said trademark soon. The always
the usual soon. Yeah, when Moon, I guess, is the next big one then, right? I mean, it definitely sounds like this is like Lewis is saying. I think these are steps they're taking in the right direction. And it's nice that it feels like, as a member of the community for years now and a user of this kind of stuff, that they're actually moving in a direction. Really, Marcy? Come on, chill. They're actually moving in a direction that like makes sense for like, the future progress of this chain. Whereas like it didn't, it feels like it had been catering pretty aggressively to like bot farmers or like, not necessarily real people. Whereas this sounds like it's definitely starting to like, take into account like how do we, hurt the bots and like basically give the users a little bit more of an edge here. So that's definitely
also
exciting.
Allow talented developers to build things that will attract real users, because like if all you have is like a good system for bot farmers, that's all people build. So like when Farmers World and Alien Worlds are succeeding because the resource model allows those things to succeed, like you need a way for people who are building real 3D games to implement them and not have to know all that stuff.
So that there's actually an audience for 3D games when there is a good one. Otherwise, why would someone build a good game on Wax when all people here want is a bot farmable click farms? And that has been.
There doesn't even need to be an audience on Wax, because the way this new system works is people can sign up without knowing they're using Wax. So like if you find talented game developers who hopefully have their own audiences, it'll just run in the background. So that's really what it needs to be anyway. The problem not the problem, but the challenge is going to be finding the talented developers that want to work on Wax. Like that's still like, I don't know if it's Field of Dreams, build it, they will come. Will they? I don't like. We've had some pretty good tech here for a while, and like no offense to anybody making a game, like there's not really any games I want to play on Wax. Like no, not a lot of viable games for actual gamers, and not like DeFi investors or
or speculators, people trying to speculate on the like short flip kind of like.
That's what I'm looking for. GameFi is pretty much all we have on Wax. I want games. Keep the fi out of my games.
I definitely love the whole GameFi models too, but like ultimately GameFi doesn't work when there's not deep liquidity. Like
it also just doesn't name a GameFi game that hasn't crashed. Like it doesn't work. Like
that's kind of fair.
Like it's not a sustainable model. It's a pump and dump. Like it's not something.
That's pretty fair. Yeah, I like the idea of it, but that's pretty much where that ends. Like you said, they're like I'd say the most like successful GameFi platform is probably still DeFi Kingdoms, and that's down like 99%. Was it?
Did you see Defira's most recent big update?
That they like sunset everything, or do they have a newer one than that?
Yeah, they're basically just like we were modeling our shit after DeFi Kingdoms, and that just does not work. So they're like, we're gonna try to phase it out. They said they're gonna go for like a relaunch where they're like, oh, we're gonna try to like relaunch through a new with a new game with a new idea, but like basically the shit we were doing is just like that doesn't work. And like I don't know. Even like DeFi in general, like the whole funding with your own token for a DEX, like that doesn't really work either. Like as Viper Swap was saying, they're like, yeah, this works until like you run out of tokens to give out, and then like everything just crashes or your token goes down in value. So turning that into a game, I also doesn't think works. I don't
that's
know,
also like that's like the crux of decentralization, is that like the second there's a more lucrative opportunity, the money moves to chase the lucrative opportunity, and that just becomes this whole like something new gets launched every couple of days, and the money just keeps rotating and rotating and rotating, and nothing ever like sticks around long enough to actually build, unless it's like the original creator of this stuff, like Uniswap doesn't pay you in Uniswap tokens to participate in their liquidity pools. The way that you get paid is from trade volume, full stop. That's it. There's no fucking incentives. If you want incentives, the project whose liquidity pool that is might offer an incentive, but Uniswap isn't going to do it. So all these different DEXs that pop up and try to take market share from Uniswap, the way they do it is by paying you for your participation in their native tokens, and then those tokens just get dumped and dumped and dumped, because that's how you make money. You put your liquidity there and then you dump the token they pay you. So I feel like a really good example of like a functional version of that model is what Alcor is doing, where Alcor is giving the liquidity pool owners the ability to incentivize their liquidity pools, but they're not using their own token to incentivize it. There's not like some token that you need to farm and then dump into like Oblivion just to like make a little bit of an incentive. It's more like, Wombat, you want to like incentivize your pool? Well, that's up to you. And anyone who wants to support,
because Uniswap has a token. How do you earn that then?
Uniswap, they did an airdrop like way back in the day. Like you could get the airdrop for using basically the blockchain at the time. They airdrop their token, but there isn't like rewards pools for it. Like they don't just pay it for liquidity suppliers. Uniswap token also has, I think, like a relatively low market cap as far as like, I think not that low. Maybe it's like 1 billion tokens or something.
And the QI asked, do you count Wombat in that club yet, or do they need more of a market?
Yeah, it's hard to say because Wombat does do a lot of like incentivizing through their own token, but they're incentivizing their own pools on other marketplaces versus like, like you get DEXs like we were talking about Viper Swap or something, where it's like, they would give you Viper tokens for bringing USDC and USDT liquidity. So it's like, as a liquidity provider, the risk of supplying like just a stable coin is pretty minimal. And you're getting paid, like 30-40% APY for that. Of course, you're going to take your APY. If you actually want to realize that APY, you need to sell it. And then obviously the people who you're selling into are the people who are putting up counterpart liquidity for Viper token. Same goes for like, I think Sushi does a few incentives now, and they've dumped pretty aggressively. They're coming back to about over $1 now, but they had dumped to like 50 cents for a while. I think Curve is another kind of example, but at least Curve, Curve does pay incentives in their own token. CRV is their token, but the way that they do it isn't like, oh, just uniformly across the board to everybody. It's based on the current CRV holders voting for what pools get those incentives. And then unlike a lot of these protocols, Curve's trajectory for minting their tokens isn't like a 3-year timeline. Like a lot of projects out there are like, oh, by we'll mint these at this whatever rate that we've established in our white paper, and 3 years later 100% of the max supply is minted, and then we don't really have a plan for moving forward from there. Or the plan is to pay people using just liquidity pool incentives, at which point it's like, well, won't those incentives not be as high as a pool such as Uniswap, or like something that's actually more popular and has a lot more volume? So there's definitely still quite a few people playing this game of like rotating from one to the other. I think, I don't know if I would.
I think all clickers have a shelf life personally. Like, I don't think any of that shit's going to be sustainable. Which, if we're being realistic, all games have a shelf life pretty much. Like,
that's
say
true
all
too,
with an asterisk. How many games have existed for 20 years? Like Counter-Strike. Like, there's like there's a list of games that have existed for 20 years on like one hand, fucking two hands. Like GTA's been around a long fucking time. Minecraft's been around for like a hot minute, but like even a game to exist for 10 years is super rare. And those games only exist because they're incredibly fun. Like, it has to be like magic in a bottle to get a game that exists that long. Like, it has to be like 99% of games fail. Like, most of the games that I used to play, if you try to go log in, there's dead servers, no one's playing them, like no multiplayer. And
even games that were hugely successful in their time don't exist anymore today. Like games I played like 5 or 10 years ago that I loved and had huge communities. Most of those communities are basically down to like, a tiny core group, if the game is still like hosting servers at all. Like I used to play a lot of Halo 2, but good luck finding like a match in Halo 2 that isn't like the same 30 people.
Yeah, then good luck selling your skin in Halo. Like, that's what we're basically betting on when you're buying
NFTs. Exactly.
Like, oh, this is an investment. It's like, play with that shit when you like it, because like the game might be dead in 6 months, and that's true for any game. Like, you can't like, what happens when you buy a skin in a game and the game, like the server shut down? Like, same thing can happen in NFTs. Like, it's gonna become worthless. So I think investing in the gaming stuff in general is kind of risky, and I don't think any of that stuff has like an unlimited shelf life. So it really is.
Like I love Overwatch. I still play Overwatch a lot, but man, and that game's probably coming up on 10 years now. That's a pretty old game. But even that is like, it's a smaller and smaller community over time too. And it still has, Blizzard behind it and putting up pretty like big money to like continue developing it and keep like new stuff coming constantly. And most games don't have Blizzard money. So it's not really like realistic to expect a game, like to become Minecraft or Fortnite. And that's just like most of these games aren't going to do that. I feel like if you're asking like what the oldest game that I can think of is, I remember in middle school playing RuneScape, and I think RuneScape servers are still running.
I think Counter-Strike came out before RuneScape though.
Oh really? Damn. Yeah.
Counter-Strike came out in like 1997.
That's true, because it was like a mod for Half-Life, right? Initially. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Team Fortress is also old. I don't know when Team Fortress launched, but that was also kind of like, that's like 1 in a million though. Like literally, like there's been so many games that have come and go. And then I guess you have series that have lasted a long time, but like, again, those only exist because they're like incredibly fun games. Like, I don't think if all your game is clicking and earning tokens, like once you run out of the new people that want to do that, then the tokens die in value, then nobody wants to click anymore. That's sort of like, there's a shelf life of that. And that's why GameFi also doesn't really work, because like the game itself is not fun. Like, you have to have a fun game for a game to exist for 10 years. And like, from my understanding, Wombat has no, like, I thought Wombat Dungeon was eventually going to turn into like some sort of interactive, maybe like a Zelda game where you're like actually crawling dungeons and using items to fight stuff. And like, when we had them on and like talked about it, it's like, oh, like all the updates you're talking about have nothing to do with actual gameplay and everything to do with like, blends and like
tokenomics, token syncs.
you're going to be able to breed your dungeon guys, and it's like, yeah, that's again like that's just extending the shelf life, but that's not going to make the game exist for 10 years. Like we know
or
NFT projects
draw in the
never
gamer
go
crowd.
well. Like Zed Run, CryptoKitties, like all that shit blows up a little bit, and then it gets oversaturated once you run out of new people that want to buy it.
Yeah, no doubt. It's definitely
unless Wombat pivots into something else. I see that as it's going to end up like all GameFi stuff. Even though I don't know if I'd consider them like GameFi in the same way that like DeFi Kingdoms was. Like they're not asking you to move your liquidity over to Wombat to be able to play their game. Like it's just a clicker, but at the same time,
and like, even with DeFi Kingdoms, they didn't create like the liquidity pools and the trading side of all that, like the Fi side of that. It was a copy paste of Uniswap V2. Like it literally is just Uniswap contracts. So it's not like they're building these kind of like that innovating. They're basically, well, the innovation there is like you're dressing up the interface to interact with a Uniswap V2 style liquidity pool into this game. Like, oh, instead of me going to a liquidity pool and adding liquidity, I'm buying seeds to plant in my garden, and the garden is like the farm staking transaction. The seeds themselves are the liquidity. So it's like you're dressing it up, and I think it's clever, especially because I think it can appeal to people who maybe are not as like financially focused or care about like, oh, like supplying liquidity. It's like it's more like, oh, I'm playing this game with my crypto tokens, and that makes sense. And I do like that as far as like it wraps kind of complicated concepts into like accessible like ideas that people are more familiar with from existing like participating in gaming. But ultimately, yeah, it's not like the innovation that people like see it as, because at the end of the day, the innovation isn't you're creating an innovative like exchange protocol. What you're doing is you're creating a layer on top of it. And at that point, why are you creating your own liquidity pools? Why don't you just create that same interface on top of existing Uniswap liquidity pools? And that's effectively what Uniswap V4 is, where you can eventually like you could build a protocol on top of Uniswap liquidity versus having to like fracture all this liquidity across the board. And I think that is more or less the future of like decentralized finance, more so than like a billion different exchange protocols all kind of like competing for like a fraction of the liquidity share out there. And I mean, we'll have to see how it all plays out, but
I also think stuff can last for a long time. I mean, look at Alien Worlds. It's amazing to me Alien Worlds has any value.
Yeah, it's still cooking, dude.
So I'm not trying to say Wombat's
absolutely
cannot exist for a while. Like I just think like realistically in 10 years, I don't see that being a thing that people are still playing. But who knows? If they can create value for the token and they reward the token, people will do stuff for money. Like it's one thing I've learned from the crypto space. As long as that token has value, it's just I don't think the game is going to create value for the token. They have to create the value elsewhere, and then
and then the value drives action to the game. That I agree with that too. Where it's like it's more about you're paying people to do something more so than people are doing it for the like active like reward of doing it.
So far, no one's been able to figure out how to do that sustainably. Not saying maybe Wombat will be one of the first people that figure out how to sustainably give out a reward token through a game and not just tank the value of their own token. But like as we're saying, even for like people running dexes and stuff like that, what most GameFi is modeled off, like that model doesn't really work. So like maybe they'll be able to continuously like Wombat makes their money through selling advertisements through their app because they have like the whole Wombat thing, and then maybe they use that money to buy back Wombat and then burn it, and like that creates value for the token, and that is sustainable forever. So maybe they'll figure it out, but I don't know.
And even then, the sustainability of that is relying on the volume then on the marketplace. So then it's like, okay, but what happens when like
I'm not talking about marketplace. I'm talking about they sell advertisements to Web2 games through their app.
Oh, okay, yeah, there you go.
And that is a more sustainable. As long
that
as
definitely would work. But then you're also like sharing the revenue that you as a company would make with your, like users, which is like
I don't know if that's what they're.
Is that what they're going to do?
Like take the money that they could be making just to pump the value of a token. But I guess that's sort of they need it because if the people aren't on their app trying to grind that token out, then they don't have the numbers to sell to advertisers.
Yeah, that's fair. So there's definitely like avenues, and I feel like a lot of these, projects right now, it's like they are kind of pioneering in the space. Like a lot of us who are here, like this is definitely like early days of this kind of Web3, like gaming Web3 kind of like just obviously Bitcoin's been around for was been like, man, we're coming up on 15 years soon here. I think Bitcoin launched initially in 2008 with the original white paper. I think like the network was definitely like online in 2009. So we're coming up on 13 14 years into this. Yeah, 15 years even. So it's hard to be like, hey, we're still early in this space, but obviously not necessarily that Bitcoin is like, oh, you're a super early adopter in Bitcoin, but yeah, in like this Web3 kind of market of like, assets that are owned, where ownership exists outside of the like confines of the game developers or the game's own servers and stuff. That's still relatively new, and a lot of what's being built in that space and has been built to this point is it's experimental. I would say it's like they're pioneering, kind of coming up with what works, what doesn't work, and overwhelmingly it ends up with you get to find out what doesn't work. That's kind of like that's how this phase of it works.
I would bet on Wombat over Alien Worlds like a million times.
Yeah, same.
Compared to almost anything else, I think Wombat has a better future. And I don't know. I really think Adrian is super smart. Like when we had Adrian on and he's talking to Max about like he's an early user of Uniswap and he's been doing this stuff for a long time.
Yeah, so he got his Uniswap airdrop back in the day too. Like he was there when they were dropping those tokens for active Ethereum wallets.
So and even now, going to bet on a team on Wax, I think they literally bought out Atomic Hub, who was like the most profitable brand on like people who are doing the best on Wax fucking failed, like nosedived, and they were bought out by those guys. So like I feel like they know what they're doing and they're going to understand how to run a profitable business in a way that a lot of people don't.
They're also a little ahead of like the Wax wallet in the sense that like onboarding through Wombat is free and super simple. Wombat itself is a multi-chain wallet. When I use Wombat on my phone, and I use it for EOS and a few other blockchains. I think I use it for like, what is it, like Matic and stuff. I've used.
What's up? Smoke weed every day. Max doesn't have his audio turned on, so sorry.
1 minute chart
on sound channel points.
Yeah, our 1 minute chart is
updating like
flipping.
The bottom where it says follower and subscriber, like Eric Yo just subscribed and that did not update, so like none of your shit is working. Probably need to re-import those keys.
I think so. I do something new here.
But I think we can kind of wrap up on the Q4 Wax update.
And yeah, it is.
I don't know. Overall, I'm optimistic. I'm more optimistic than I was 6 months ago, but also I don't think this news is just like, okay, now like Wax is for sure going to be the biggest chain ever. Like they still need to get talented developers to onboard users. Like they're creating the tools for talented developers to come and onboard users, but like, I don't know. I'll believe it when I see it, when there's a game as a gamer that I really want to play on Wax. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, exactly. And then ultimately I'm a fan of Wax, just like, the Wax ecosystem, kind of like the functionality of it is there. It does work, but it still very much feels like a back end more than a front end. Like it doesn't feel like it's
it should be though.
Yeah, that's what it should be. And so I like that they're, kind of recognizing that with this update and developing in a direction where Wax, the blockchain, is kind of poising itself to become the back end for a lot of Web 2.5 and Web 3 kind of gaming, which is really like that's what they should be doing. I don't think
is they have planned like what he's talking about this quarter is like he's talking about like the instant finalization stuff. He's like, oh, that's coming in December 2024. So like they're also planning year to years ahead. So like that's always nice to see that it's like they're not just winging it, like they have a multi-year plan, and like that also means they're not going anywhere. Like these guys are planning on working on this stuff full time for the next couple of years. So they're still dedicated to it. They're not like giving up on Wax and part-time developing it. Like they're still working on stuff, which I like to see. Fenris asks, Max, will you ever do Tech Wednesday dedicated to Wombat Wallet? I think that's
a good idea.
Like Wombat Wallet,
for sure.
Especially because it's cross-chain and there's other stuff, and maybe even KY could help us because there's a bunch of ways to like earn NFTs on EOS and like through other blockchains by playing the games through their app, which
Yeah.
we don't. Max and I don't really fuck with that side of Wombat. I mean, I'm speaking for Max, but I don't think either of us are playing the Web 2 games that give you NFTs.
I did a little bit, but yeah, and not so much lately. I got to I also like I stake my Wombat tokens in my Wax Wombat wallet, and I like that the stake rewards for that is NFTs. So it doesn't like devalue necessarily. They're not like paying me more Wombat tokens because I have a stake in Wombat. They're giving me NFTs, I think overwhelmingly for Dungeon Master. You get like VIP packs and stuff. And those are like they sell very quickly for pretty reasonable amounts of like wax, to the point where at this point, I mean, I've been doing the staking for maybe like a year. I think I've gotten almost all the wax I put into the Wombat tokens back then when I first got that stake. Almost all of it is back, so I'm almost like broken even, and I still have the whole stake. And again, none of that happened through a devaluing kind of like economic model. And that's again where like I also agree with Lewis. I think like Adrian really has a grasp on tokenomics, much more like much more so than a lot of teams out there. I think a lot of people have a very tentative understanding
of teams on Wax. Honestly, I might even be down to say 100% of the teams. Like he probably has a better understanding of tokenomics than the actual Wax team. We're gonna be
I think he's I think if I had to like come up with two other people who knew more about it, I would have a very hard time. Like, I think Adrian really knows what he's doing, and overwhelmingly when it comes to this kind of stuff, especially like if you view it as like an investment, you are investing in the team, not necessarily the product, especially in this phase of the stage of like the development. It's not like buying the Wombat tokens is like, oh, I think Wombat Dungeon Master is going to be the next big the next Minecraft or the next whatever big thing. It's more like I'm comfortable, and that's always also why in our Wax DeFi wallet, where I've been like, oh, I'm cool with holding Wombat tokens because I believe that the team behind this token knows what they're doing and isn't going to fuck me the way that, like, again, 99 or 100% of the other projects or tokens out there almost certainly will.
I just don't think Dungeon's going to be the fucking ending product that like is Wombat's thing. Like, I don't think clickers in general, like, I also might just be super biased because I'm
that's fair too. Yeah.
Clickers, but just like I don't want to play clickers anymore. I've had a taste of real NFT games. I can't go back, guys. I'm playing fucking Rivals. I'm playing SGG Football. I'm playing like competitive tournaments with a bunch of real gamers. We're all using Xbox controllers on voice comms, strategizing and playing real fucking games. I can't.
Dude, that fucking the finals was super fun, and I don't give a shit that there's no NFTs attached. I'm gonna play that game because it's dope. And
finals, I'm super stoked for.
And that's literally like that's what the gamer mentality is. It's not about like, oh, I want to play this game because I can make 50 cents from a skin that I sold. Like, people are not playing Counter-Strike because they can farm the loot boxes. I mean, some people maybe, but like the overwhelming community around Counter-Strike isn't doing it for like the flippability of like assets that they're getting in game. And
most gamers are used to only spending money and losing money on games. Like most people, games is entertainment. It's something you spend money on, not something you make money from. So most people aren't looking to make money. Like it's a nice consequence if it can happen, but like it's a very niche audience that's like trying to use gaming as a platform to make money. That's not really like you're a professional gamer. That's not really like a sustainable, realistic. Like even like when you sell your World of Warcraft account, if you sell it for like $1,000, you probably put in like 1,000 hours to that account before you can fucking sell it for $1,000. So it's not a good amount. Like if you're really looking at the time spent versus the amount of money you're making, like even the people that are selling video game items for a lot, it's generally a lot of time invested to get there. But Pocket says he's waiting for a true racing game.
Hell yeah.
If you like drag racing, check out Nitro Nation World Tour on the Mythical blockchain and join the Neon Club. I got 2 workshops. You can upgrade your cars faster and for cheaper if you join the Neon Race Club. That's my
I definitely
I called it Neon Race. I hope I did. I like as many different ways we can say Neon Space, Neon Race, Neon Face. Like,
oh, that's good. Yeah,
let's go.
Nice. But yeah, it's definitely like that's a cool, like, straightforward concept, and still is hard to pull off. It seems, like I mean, I was always a fan of like Sammy and Nova Rally and stuff, but he's not like a game developer. He knows it too, and he like defers his like expertise to people who have much more skills in that game, which is great. But at the end of the day, it's like, I want to just it's not necessarily about like I'm not trying to like play to earn here. I just would love to like pick it up and race.
That's also
Like,
what he's working on. He just put out I
yeah,
can read the most recent update, but he put out a pretty big update, which if you're into the crypto side of stuff is actually probably going to be a pretty big bummer. He's like basically like he's trying to develop more of a Web 2 version of the game than like with the original. All right. This came out on the 6th, so 2 days ago. Sammy Snake says, "Hello, folks. Just a quick update now that I'm back from vacation. We plan our first playtest of the new version with the companion app /chat commands to select racers and issue instructions to drivers around the 16th of November. That's like a little over a week from today. This starts the phase of gameplay-focused updates, which we will look to gain feedback on via playtest every week. Apologies for the communication regarding the current blockchain version. UK is tightening on blockchain gaming and tokens in particular, so we're having to reevaluate whether we will be allowed to fuel tokens and charm in their current form. From January onwards, we could face big fines for non-compliance. Possible arrays around as charm becomes a non-blockchain token that cannot be traded on Wax, and fuel is no longer a token, but each NFT allows a certain number of entries. Super Circuit shares are sold out. That's not as important. But he said each NFT from Nova Rally will have a purpose no matter what happens, whether that be rewards you earn for lifetime of the brand or in-game use. Nova Rally will continue to be regularly developed. I've budgeted right now for the next 5 years of development, and my personal goal is to evolve it over the next 10 years. For now, I know the incentive to play the blockchain version is low. We're looking to transition the current site into a new race engine. But it basically sounds like they're like trying to get rid of the blockchain stuff and turn it into more of like a real game and like get away from all the tokens and all the DeFi part of it, the gameonomics part of it, whatever GameFi, and get it into oh, this is just like a Web 2 game and you can use your NFTs in this Web 2 game, which is sort of how it should be anyway, I think. But
yeah, not the worst idea, but it's also like you said, if people are participating specifically for the like grinding out tokens to like flip and like sell, that could be a bad news kind of update for you.
He also like, I don't know, he originally modeled the game after kind of like Alien Worlds, and then like I think realized that's like not the way to do a racing game, and it has super convoluted token. Like, imagine trying to get into that game if you did need to get the token to do a race. Like, the average person's gonna be like, I don't want to have to like go figure out all of these different tokens and the leagues and stuff work. Like, I think it's a good idea, even if it's bad for people holding the tokens. But
and it's crazy how low my standard is for like I'll play a game like Zed Run back in the day. That wasn't like it didn't look good. It wasn't like I wasn't affecting it. All I was doing was saying enter this race, and then I would watch the race, and like that was enough, for me back then. But I feel like your expectation and your standard for like what you want in these kind of games also goes up as the market develops, and so
because there are games like Nitro Nation where you can actually drag race cars and like upgrade your cars through grinding through the game, and then like there's stuff like Rivals where it's like once better competitions on the market, you can't get by with like such bare bones games, in my opinion. And also I think we're only going to see like we're just now seeing mobile games starting to get developed because you can use them in the app stores, which you could not like 2 years ago. Once the consoles break open, like it's gonna be the floodgates of real developers making real NFT games.
Exactly.
It's going to fucking bury like 95% of what's on the market right now. Like when fucking Square Enix releases fucking Final Fantasy with NFT cosmetics, like why the fuck if you can grind out NFTs in Final Fantasy, you're not going to be playing like whatever the fuck is out right now. Same with like Grit came out. Grit is like diet Fortnite. It's like fucking Fortnite mixed with Red Dead. If Fortnite just turned their cosmetics into NFTs, nobody'd ever play Grit ever. It'd just die immediately.
Yeah,
so, like,
exactly. Let's squash it like the bug it is. In the
you can play Nitro Nation entirely for free, Mocha or Mocha. I don't know.
That one's pretty accessible.
You do better. The NFT cars do better. They have these starter packs right now where it's like you can get an S tier car or whatever the highest tier car for $20, and there's a $10 A tier car. So you can get those relatively cheap, but there's also no real way to earn right now. Like there's no reason to have the NFT cars besides they're better in the game. There's no like route to grinding out tokens. Actually, there is a route to grinding out tokens. You can grind out there's like these blue tokens if you do PvP races, and then you can use those to buy the NFT packs. It's like the premium currency game, but like
I also like
it's a very fractional amount you can earn.
They've also like talked about in the future making it so that you can eventually you'll be able to like enter a like for keeps race where like the winner gets both of the cars. So it's like you challenge a PvP person and you have to put up the car that you're racing as like
You're
the
putting up
reward.
your pink slip or whatever they say.
Yeah, which that's cool.
But
But
the only reason they haven't like confirmed that is because they don't know the legality of that. It might turn it into gambling, and then like you can
Yeah.
no longer like once your shit turns into gambling, like it's totally different regulations and totally then you can't have people under 18 playing or whatever 21 playing, and then like
yeah,
you can't get kids playing your game, and then you just like removed like a huge portion of the market. So we'll see if that happens.
exactly.
But the idea of it was cool, and yeah, I don't know. Nitro Nation isn't my favorite game. Like I'm not a huge fan of drag racing games, but if you do like drag racing games, I think it's made by the person like the non Nitro Nation World Tour, which is the NFT version. Just Nitro Nation regular had like 50 million plus downloads and was a game for like 8 years. So it's like one of the top mobile drag racing games ever. Was partnered with Mythical. Mythical doesn't actually make the game at all. It's made by the developers of the previous game. They just do the blockchain side of this stuff. So it's
Yeah.
like a real mobile drag racing game, just moving over to the blockchain. If you like that style of game, I'm just not the biggest like. If I'm playing a racing game, I like to be able to steer. I don't want to just go in a straight line. And the game's a lot
Same.
about like tuning
That's
your
me
car,
too.
like making your engine the best, because you can change like when you can shift gears, you can change like, oh, like at this amount of shift, and like that's the whole game is tuning your car. Because by tuning your car, you can shave like 2 to 3 seconds off your time, which is a huge deal for the leaderboards and being able to win the campaign and stuff. And they did add like PvP, and there's like the game is updated since I last showed on stream, whereas like you're just doing ghost races against a computer and you won every single one of them. Now I actually lose some of my ghost races because you're playing against real people's times, and some people are really fucking fast. So like there now is like an actual incentive to tune your car better and like race against people. And they added like a league
That's
where like
cool.
the more you grind, the higher you get, and then you get rewards at the end of the season. So they are like, it's still kind of early access, but they're expanding it. And I'd imagine the next 6 months it'll be kind of like closer to Rivals, where it's like a fully fledged game.
Yeah.
That makes
And
sense.
Rivals is like I was recently hanging out with my cousin from Germany, and he saw me playing Rivals, and he's a big football fan, and he was just like, "Oh, what is that?" Like, and he like I showed him, and he downloaded it on his phone, and like 2 days into it, he had pulled like a legendary from one of the packs that he got just grinding with in-game currencies, and the legendary like sold for like $44 on the secondary market, so it's like they've really figured out a way that it's like, yeah, you can get into this. He doesn't know shit about crypto. He doesn't even give a fuck that it's like NFTs or whatever. He just likes football, and then kind of got more and more hooked because of the like viability of, ooh, nice little pump happening still. Look at this. The viability of all that.
Let's go, Wax. Let's go.
Yeah. It's flying, baby.
You want to get into Wax DeFi stuff?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, we definitely covered quite a bit already here. On
I gotta fucking get back to rendering music. I got like 3 hours of rendering ahead of me, so I can't stream for that long today.
Yeah, I also got to make some more PFP like video stuff here that I'm working on. But yeah, let's take a look at the markets here while we're pumping. Look at this. So Wax is at 7.25 cents now. Let's go back to our daily chart here. We've been looking at Wax, reset our chart here. We've been looking at Wax kind of like breaking up. So last time I was out for 2 weeks. I was on vacation. I went to Belize, which is like south of the Gulf of Mexico, kind of in the Caribbean Sea there. Really cool. Lots of stingrays. But since then, so that was like kind of here. Last time we had kind of broken above, last time we looked at this market, we had kind of broken above this orange line, which I had marked as our support kind of resistance level, and saying, we were looking at it on stream, it had pushed quite a bit higher above it, but it was basically still our kind of resistance level. And it did, act as resistance and push us down, and kind of exactly what we expected happened, which is we pushed all the way back down to our previous support here, which I had marked at in red. And if I zoom in, you can see like our wicks actually tested that support a few times here, like 2 or 3 days back to back. And then once we had done that and confirmed the resistance here now is support, since previously this had been a resistance. You can see these kind of wicks coming up here, getting rejected, testing, rejected, and then finally we've pushed above, and now retest and support. It has become support. We got our flip here. So then we expect, once that had to happen, we wanted to retest again this orange line, which is our new kind of resistance level now, with this being our new support. So again, I'm talking about like what was happening last week when we weren't when I wasn't able to stream. And then so what happened is it looks like since then that resistance level here has also flipped and basically become support. You can see here we kind of pushed above it almost immediately after testing the previous support, which is also in line with our strength band here and our bull print on the daily. So very much kind of in this bull trend on the daily chart, pushing up and retesting this resistance, pushing above it, and then kind of like testing it for several days, being like, is this going to hold? And yeah, it looks like it has held and now flipped into support. So we got that all important SR flip, the support resistance flip. So this resistance has flipped into support now, and it is pushing and basically becoming our bouncing board for the bounce to the next level, which I also have labeled out up here. So if we zoom out a little bit further, you can see it'll likely be, you know, here. If we look at the price action in the past, you can see kind of like this, you know, huge sell off down to here before we got that first bull print here and got the run up. That run up hitting the ceiling right around this red line here is where we're getting that.
I have underinvested by a lot.
I've underinvested by a lot. Yeah, it was the sound, but I don't think it's sharing like Lewis was saying. I wish it was because that was pretty perfect. But yeah, you can see here that is also previously yoink. That used to be our support line. When we fell down here, we found support here. We pushed up here, found resistance, pushed back down, found that support for a while, lost the support, and once we lost the support, huge drop. Not a lot of you know, support between this top red line, and then again we hit all the way to this bottom red line, and then we were kind of in this range between these two, where that's where the orange line came in. The orange line was starting to act as a resistance, as this was now support. Once we, you know, very shortly diverged below it here, and then have pushed all the way back up to this OG kind of red line. That's been a pretty strong resistance level for quite a while. You can see kind of where we're at now with the green line here is the current spot price. So that's being drawn by where the current spot price is. That is, you know, approaching here where we've definitely had a good amount of support. You know, we were kind of hovering here for a while is kind of what I mean by that, before we kind of pushed back down, diverged, and actually pushed well below our lowest support level. Either way, what we're looking for now, if we go back to reset the chart, what we're looking for now is likely, now that we found support here and we've basically confirmed the SR flip and flipped this orange line from resistance to support, we're probably going to push, or looking to push at least, to the previous resistance. And there's quite a bit of resistance, right around 8 cents, 8.1 or so, right up there. So, but again, between this and here, there wasn't a whole lot of you know, resistance, not a whole lot of sell pressure. So I feel like if we do keep this nice bullish sentiment moving for the next few days, and maybe some of it is fueled by, you know, having a nice community call and them talking about the future of wax and people being, you know, excited about the direction that's moving in, potentially that's helping a little bit of buy pressure. It's always hard to associate news with chart activity. At the end of the day, I can find good news on a good day and bad news on a bad day, and you know, correlate them, and that doesn't really mean anything. So what I really like to see is just resistance flipping to support, and then this ranges that we've been basically tracking for a while. I want to continue to like keep my eye on. So we are at kind of like I guess we could add a little like horizontal line here. Let's do this, kind of an orange, and then that would be similarly here. If we look back here, Paul's distracting me. He walked in here. But here you can see I just added this little orange line, and I would set that kind of like so. Let's move this. So kind of here where, you know, once we fell below it was acting as
grubfish in the background. Just quick interjection, exclamation point neon if you want to join a giveaway. Since you all have been listening to us rant about wax updates for the last hour and a
Yeah.
half. We'll do a giveaway for tolerating us.
Yeah, thanks for that. You can kind of see we got could even be a little bit below here.
I feel like maybe tomorrow
Kinda
we haven't
here.
even gone over like max vacation updates.
Oh yeah, I should show you some of the videos and pictures. It's wild.
Let's do
Like
that tomorrow, just because I don't want to go too long today.
the Caribbean Sea is alive, man. Like so many fish and just everything is just. It's very much like Sea of Thieves if you've ever, played that game. Just like islands everywhere, warm water, coral reefs and stuff. Beautiful place. I ate lobster probably like every day. Spiny lobster, not the clawy one. The one that has no claws. It's basically just a tail, like a large shrimp. But man, they catch them all there. I think it is also like it's the Caribbean. It's kind of like a less developed place. It's very cheap for someone coming from Los Angeles. Like you get a lobster dinner for like $18 to $20, which is absurd out here. Like you barely get a McDonald's dinner for that out here. But yeah, here. So I'm adding this orange line here. You can kind of see when we were, we're looking, where we were kind of like bouncing here on the way up. We've pushed, kind of found a lot of bouncing boards. I'm trying to basically draw a line where the most candles are touching it, like either at the bottom of them on the way up or at the top of them, or other way around, on the bottom of them on the way down, like when they're trying to come down and then bouncing. So the bottom of those candles are there, and then at the top of them when they're up, so that it becomes like a resistance. But here you can kind of see it here from right here where we got the flip to the red from the green. This would be like where that resistance is. We fell here, bounced back up, and then had to test here for a while. Couldn't really seal the deal. Came rejected, eventually broke out as in a bit of a divergence here. So we'd never actually flipped. We never got a bull print. We just had our bear print continuing on this indicator. But we pushed up above it for a while, retested a few times. You can see these wicks are touching back to this line before losing it. And then even once we've lost it, retesting it on the way down. So that's kind of like a middle range of a resistance that we've seen as well. At least historically, even these big kind of like, now let me
Thanks, Wax just pumped because we're talking about it. We have that sort of influence over the whole crypto market.
Yeah, no chance.
Neon Space talks about your token, it pumps up. You heard
Let's
it here
go.
first.
But yeah, you can even see here if I bring it down slightly more, even this like wicked up to here. So it has been kind of like tested a few times. We've seen, this is kind of like I'd say like a mid-level like resistance support. I would keep it kind of where it was before though. There we go. But again, the red one is kind of like the major support resistance level here. And both of these red lines, I drew those, God, like a year ago at this point. I drew these when we were at like 30 cents, I think, as basically the bottom of the bear market trend for wax. I think I drew those when we were at like 30 cents a unit. I was like, I think we possibly fall to 8 cents. And at the time, I definitely got some DMs from people who were like, that's insane. And I was like, maybe. But it definitely,
we were at half that.
We actually fell below my lower target too. I was like, I think it's not even insane. I think we can fall all the way to, around 4. Like once we get to 8, that's still like 100% lower or higher, I guess, because lower, it's about 50% lower. But we even diverge below that still. So basically these two red lines I had drawn out on this chart for over a year almost at this point. So if you've been watching our tech talks and stuff, you've probably seen those lines for a long time. Those lines have been there for a long time because they have a lot of historic like significance as far as support resistance goes. And that I think is going to be our major hurdle moving forward here. This orange line may or may not, give us some trouble here since we're actually right there right now. It's kind of interesting that it's gotten there so kind of quickly. If we blast through this, I would very much not expect us to blast through 8 cents. I would say very likely, even if similarly to this previous orange line, if we do blast through it, it'll very quickly correct back. And so what I would expect for the coming like continuing days here, if we do see a continued push up in wax, for it to push to around 8.2 cents before kind of like chilling out, not necessarily dropping or pushing back down, but definitely like flatlining or like finding a little bit of resistance, taking its time to push beyond this. If we do get there, again, another big jump between those, previous targets, where you can see here, at that point you'll have, this is the red line, this is the next resistance, major resistance level, and you can see, even here that did happen the same way. Hard drop, pushed all the way back up, fell all the way back down before we found kind of like a little bit of a like chill out area here, and then obviously when it was lost, we got a nice aggressive
So what does that mean for your liquidity pool stuff?
Yeah, so what that means for my liquidity pool is, now that we found our support level around this one here, so 6 cents, I would say now I want to keep 6 cents or maybe a little bit below. I'm going to use my indicator strength band as my kind of like bottom for this potential pullback. So I'd be like, let's say 5.6, 5.7 would be kind of like the bottom of the range that I want to change to now. And then I want around 8, so maybe I'll do 8.3 or 8.5 as the top of my current range. So what I want to do now is, I'm gonna almost certainly I'll be out of range for the liquidity we've had in the pool, and so I'm gonna need to take the liquidity and adjust the range so that the bottom of our range is going to be, let's say 5.6. What would I just say? So because our support that's now been found here is around 6 cents. So let's say let's do 5.65 or something as like the bottom of our new range. And again, the top of our range is going to be a little bit around, let's say 8.5 cents or so. So what I want to do here is, let's take a look. That's Paul sending me a meme. And then like obviously here, the other thing that I like to see is rising on balance volume. So the on balance volume still climbing, even though the price is, in this time frame here, relatively flat. So you can see here we got a huge pump in on balance volume when we got this huge run up in price. And once that run up in price fell, and it fell below where it started, the on balance volume did not. So you can see that is generally like the very kind of like dumbed down version of how to read that, is that this is money entering the market and not leaving it again. So even though the price has cooled off and even pushed below where it previously was, the money that entered the market didn't leave the market. So that's generally speaking a bearish or a bullish, positive bullish divergence, where you have a falling price with a rising on balance volume. So we still are seeing that. So still that, when we've been seeing that for months at this point. And so that is definitely like an indication of positive price movement on the horizon, potential also for like price breakouts. And that's kind of what we've been seeing here. This is a breakout of the previous level. We've broken well through here and then only retested it for about a week before breaking out to the next one here. So let's take what we're looking at here and adjust what we have in our liquidity pool and take a look at how the other positions have fared so far. So again, it's going to be about 5.6 cents on
the raid. Las Vegas Ape with 36 viewers.
What's going on?
A grubfish going in the background. If you want to do exclamation point neon in your wallet, I'll be doing a giveaway in a moment. Right now we're going over, Max just went over wax price, what the charts look like, and we're going
to turn my light on really quick.
Liquidity positions in Wax DeFi. I also think we're going to rebrand this. Instead of Tech Tuesday, we can just start calling this Wax Wednesday.
That makes sense to me. Yeah, and we do focus a lot more. We focus a lot more on Wax than we do mostly like tech stuff anyway, just because most people in our community are more interested in Wax than general like DeFi or whatever. So
yeah.
That
also, we've been playing like mythical games and like Thursday off the rails. Like we don't even really do Wax stuff. So I feel like that's our one day a week where we're focused on Wax and our Wax positions, and then the other days we can play games and do games.
So to give a quick recap of what we're doing right now is, I'm looking at this chart. This is the daily chart on KuCoin for Wax in terms of USDT. So basically Wax in terms of dollars. I'm going to reset the chart. I'm using like my own indicator here, as well as the on balance volume. I might have to restart this. Oh, it's a second.
Same. It's the same person.
Okay. So yeah, what I'm looking at right now is the wax chart in terms of dollars, and we've seen a kind of a breakout. So over the past 2 weeks, we pushed above the red line. Here was our long term, or my personal long term, like bottom of the market target, which I had marked that out like over a year ago already, when we were still around 30 cents. It was a little controversial when we were at 30 cents to be like, I think wax has the potential to fall to 4 cents, but here we are, and we fell well below 4 cents. So it did kind of play out, at least so far. It has played out. It doesn't mean that we won't potentially fall below. No one knows what happens tomorrow.
Big Game asked, is wax going to keep going up over the next few weeks? And Max basically said the next major resistance is 8 cents.
Yeah, about 8.1, 8.2
cents.
cents.
Stay above 8 cents. It's probably not going to keep climbing.
That's what we're looking for now. So it's likely we're going to see a push. There's not a whole lot of resistance on the chart, at least. Or here, let me actually can show you some metric here. You can see that's the volume. So you can see lots. This down here, that's lots of resistance, lots of money waiting around these prices. And then look at, as we climb up, it gets very thin. So we're right here right now, right? Look at how thin, like lower and lower these bars are getting. That means it takes less and less money to make the price move that high. So we do have a decent, like basically we're building a pretty strong support base below our current price, with a pretty thinning like range above it. So that's kind of what we'd want to see in a breakout, and so that is basically what's happening. And it's fun also to note here. I turned this on after I had marked my limits, but look how the biggest lines are matching right up with those resistance lines that I had drawn on our chart. You see those two orange lines, and then the red one have both. That's basically where the deepest liquidity is currently waiting to, either support, in this case, support the price, or up here, push it down or be resistance. So you can see very limited resistance, or at least as we're moving away from the current spot price up higher, the resistance is definitely thinning out. So that is a nice recipe for, aggressive price appreciation. So let's keep an eye on, just like obviously this will change if you scroll around and change. So you can see, let me go like to the weekly chart, and we can get maybe a little bit of another eyeballs on here, and you can see, let's go a little bit out. Here we go. So if we go to the weekly chart, you can see very kind of clearly lots of thick kind of like volume here, like lots of, and then it gets thinner and thinner. If I zoom out more, like look at, especially between, you see the top here where we've drawn this line, which is basically the next like resistance after the one that we're aiming for at 8 cents. So the next one around 11 cents here. And if we can close over that, very little resistance between 11 cents and almost 30 again. So if we can actually push there, you can then see kind of a really big candles pushing the price up pretty like aggressively. Also, something to note here, I'm going to remove this indicator again. If you want to add that to your own chart, just click on indicator and type in VRVP. So VRVP, and that'll show you the multi-time frame dynamic indicator like that. You can use that indicator on something like Wax on Edge, for example. Here's Wax on Edge, and I'm looking at those.
Won't those candles readjust as the price scales up?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's dynamic, so it'll move as the price changes. So right now, it's basically giving us an idea of where the current
that's where it stands currently, but as
all
this stuff changes every day as prices change.
Yeah, and that's why we want to basically keep an eye on like the price. We want to see, is it going to be able to flip these to support, and then play it basically the way I like to play these kind of like positions is, we do this week to week. So we'll do it. Usually we were doing Tuesdays. Now we'll go Wednesdays. So every week on Wednesdays, we'll take another look at the chart. And then based on how the chart has progressed over the past week, we'll readjust. And I'm about to move into that phase of this where I'm going to readjust my liquidity positions to now fit with the new kind of like information we're seeing here. And so what I want to see is
specifically on KuCoin, right? Like those resistance levels.
This is KuCoin. Yeah, exactly.
So we're looking at Wax versus USDT on KuCoin, but Generally, the
You could-
most major exchanges have similar resistance points as far as
We
like
could find Binance. Look, Binance is really getting a nice pump in on balance volume, where I
yeah,
don't
to
think
the Raiders. We do this every Wednesday. We used to do on Tuesday. It used to be Tech Tuesday, but now
KuCoin
it's
not
Wax
quite as
Wednesday.
aggressive there.
So if you are interested in these kind of like updates on what's going on with Wax on the more technical side of stuff, consider following. We stream 3 days a week. Wednesday is going to be our tech day. Also, if you missed the earlier stream, we went over Wax did a Q4 update. The Lucas, the CTO of Wax, did an update on what they've been working on for the last quarter and what they're going to be working on next year. And we went over that for like an hour or so. That'll be on demand after we end the stream if you're interested in catching up on that. I also put a summary in our Discord if you just want to read the too long didn't listen version. Consider joining our Discord.
Yeah, here I'm just looking at the different
I'm gonna
Wax
do
markets
I'm
out
gonna do a
there.
Grubfish real quick. Since we
Oh, look on Bitrex, we actually have quite a bit of resistance building here. So that's looking a little different. But yeah, like you said, these are different, not just on different time frames, but also on different exchanges. So I usually look at KuCoin because that's an exchange I trade on a lot. It's also worth noting that relatively recently, Binance has added perpetual trading for Wax. So you can actually take leveraged perpetual to positions against WaxP or in favor of WaxP, which is they don't settle in Wax, so it doesn't directly put buy or sell pressure onto the Wax market. They settle in USDT, but it's really cool because it means that it makes it very simple to trade in both directions, long or short. And
all right, last call here. I want to do this giveaway. Exclamation point Neon, and then your Wax wallet if you'd like to join this Grubfish giveaway. And I don't know what we're giving away yet. Let's figure that out too. Something from our giveaway wallet. We'll just run it first, then figure out what we're giving away. Mystery prize. But yeah, last call. Exclamation point Neon in your wallet.
The magical mystery prize.
You can't buy anything on Binance anymore, nor KuCoin. Have to buy elsewhere and transfer funds into them to buy within them. Yeah, KuCoin doesn't really work in America at all anymore.
Yeah, it used to be all no KYC. It's all very tricky now. I recently did a little
KYC in America. Like
nope.
If you try to scroll down to America, it's just like that region's not supported.
Yeah, they don't service America now. So if you like an easy-ish way to buy WaxP, if you already have crypto, is using non-custodial swap exchanges such as Simple Swap or ChangeNow, which I did that earlier today for
Crypto.com also works pretty good if you're in regions that it works.
Yeah, and Crypto.com it has withdrawal. So if you're if you are going to use Crypto.com, it's only available as an app on your phone. Highly recommend using limit orders. Don't just do a market buy, because the spread on Crypto.com for some altcoins such as Wax can be pretty fucking savage. And you could buy, let's say, $100 worth of it from your dollar stack, and then by the time you get the Wax with an instant buy, you maybe only get $85 worth of Wax, and that can be really frustrating. So the move would be to set a limit order and set a specific price to buy Wax at, because Crypto.com is not super transparent about what the price buy-sell spread is when it comes to market buying.
Baka versus Boom Shankar, who will be the victor? Oh, so close.
Go, baby, go. And he's done it. Your magical mystery prize winner.
Alas, the magical mystery prize.
Blow him up, Opaka.
We're dying to take you away.
Let's see what you got.
We can send a creature pack from Nova Pangea.
Damn, that's a fucking kick-ass prize.
Is Wapaka still here? Do you want a shadow creature or a light creature?
He is. I gotta actually do my creature stuff. That reminds me, I gotta check on my workers and stuff. I haven't done that since I got back from Belize. Belize also uses their own dollars, the Belizean dollars, and they have the Queen on them still. Queen Elizabeth is all over their money because Belize. I think
Which
into the
you have to choose
80s.
between one or the other. These are different realms: Light Realm or Shadow Realm. I'm not in the Shadow Realm, so Light Realm.
Okay, Light Realm it is. Those are like
Okay.
the two realms I actually have. I have a travel pass for the Shadow Realm or for the Light Realm, and I have a home base in the Shadow Realm. But yeah, Belize used to be part of the British Commonwealth, I think, into the mid 80s. So yeah, that's kind of wild. So here we go. Let's take a look at quick.
Working. Give me a second.
Oh, okay.
I think it's finally sending.
Does the name Monica?
All right. Transaction
Moon Baby mean anything?
has been signed. Success. To Waxpacker.
TikTok of Paul. Oh, really? That's funny. Paul does have a pretty big TikTok following for his. He does like the Daily Misinformer. They're at like 500,000 followers across their socials. Paul also, by the way, tomorrow Paul is performing with Jim Jeffries, which I fucking think Jim Jeffries is hilarious. So I'll take some pictures and I'll be in the audience.
Monica Moon Baby. I don't know who that is though.
I don't know that one either. I have to ask
Neon
Paul.
And your Wax wallet if you'd like to join. I think we're going to give away a Nerd Dice Unite from.
Ooh, that's an OG one too.
We'll give away a ticket from. What game is this? RotaQuest as well. So get a Nerd Dice and a RotaQuest.
I'll ask Paul if you. Hold on, Monica Moon Baby. Let me ask him. Do you know a?
It's quite the name. And we got to wrap this up pretty soon. I got to fucking work on music.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do that. If you jump back to my screen, I'll give a very, very brief recap of what we're talking about and what I'm going to do based on that. So, we've basically in the last week turned this orange line into our new support. So I don't expect us to push much further below, and that is about 6 cents. So I'm going to set our lower limit for what our liquidity pool is to about 5.8 or so cents here, and then the upper limit I still am looking for right around here 8. So I'm going to say maybe like 8.5, 8.4 or something. Let's say 8.5 is going to be the upper limit of our liquidity pool. So next thing I want to do is jump over to Alcor and take a look at how we've done since 2 weeks ago. So I'm going to start by going to the pool here. All right, what was this? Whatever. I thought I saw something. Go to the pool. So we have 2 pools right now. Liquidity pool is open. And you can see that our Wax USDT pool is out of range. So the previous range we've set has exceeded what we set. So we had our top of our range at 6.6, about 6.7 cents. And you can see we've actually now pushed about 3.9% outside of that range. So over the last 2 weeks, we've earned with our, I think it was like 50 wax or something. It's not that much wax, maybe 100 wax or something here. I'll have to double check. Let's see what Paul says. No, he says no. Why? Saw them post talk. Okay, we'll see if Paul has anything to add about that. But okay, so what I want to do here is I'm out of range. I want to basically claim my USDT side. So what happens when we've exceeded the range on the upper limit is that we've sold all of our wax and it's all turned into USDT. And so now we're left with only USDT in this pool alongside the wax and USDT that we've earned from trading fees. And on top of that, if I go to the farm, we also have our token staking here. So we've also earned 6 wax in wax rewards for participating in this pool. So these rewards are still climbing up, even though we're slightly out of range. But what I want to do now is start by removing that liquidity and then resetting it to the new range that we were just talking about. So I'm going to say remove liquidity and claim rewards. This is going to remove, I guess you can't really see my my Anchor wallet. This is going to remove the liquidity, claim the fee rewards, as well as claim the farm rewards. So now if I go back to farm here, there's not going to be anything to claim. So that has been claimed. And now we are left with, so you can see here, now I have actually the wax in our wallet, and we're left with the USDT and that wax. And if I go now to say new position, I want to create this position and I want to set my range to what I was talking about a second ago. So it's going to be on the low end. Let's just double check again here. On the low end, we want it to be at about 6, and on the high end, 8.5. So I'm going to say my low end, I want to be at 0.56 cents. And on my high end, I want to be at 0.85. So this is where I want my range to be. That's going to put me in about 20% below spot and 22% above current spot price. And give us basically this range for the price to fluctuate between while we earn fees into next week. So I have 12 USDT. If I were to click max here, it needs a counterpart of 156 wax, which we don't have. So I want to use basically 12. Let's say if I do 6, then I need 78 wax. So let's see if I can get 78 wax by going to the swap and trading 6. Would that gives me 80? So I can go a little bit less than this. If I did 5, let's say 50. So I wanted 78. I already have 9, so I could probably do 525. Actually 550 would be good because I was forgetting that now I would have more USDT left over to add as the counterpart. So on Alcor right now, $5 and 5.5 USDT turns into 76.09. Personally, I always like to double check what Wax on Edge is offering. Wax on Edge is a tool by Wapaka, who just won the last giveaway. And you can connect your wallet here. I can just go to the homepage. You connect your wallet. It's basically a swap aggregator, which looks at all the different liquidity pools, not just Alcor. And so I'm going to connect our wallet here, and I'm going to take a look and see if I can get a better deal than what Alcor has. So if I come here, I say swap now, and you can see, Alcor 5.5, we were getting 76.094. At the same time, at Wax on Edge here, I just clicked out of this at the worst time, right when it was finishing loading. So there we go. Let it load here for a second. And then what's going to happen here is it will look not just at the Alcor pool, but at the Alcor pool, at the Taco pool, and at the DeFi box tool, and then show me where I can get the best route. So now if I do 5.5 here, it's going to come back with a rate in Wax that reflects the best price across all these pools. So let's see what that gives me. And you can already see here, it's going to be doing, it's going to be routing my trade instead of all of it through so you can see actually it's 75.89. We were only getting, oh wait, is that where? Oh, I'm actually getting a better deal. It looks like on here, which is suspect. So I'm going to refresh this. This might still be like behind the times here. So let me refresh really quick. Make sure that this is actually accurately up to date, since the price of Wax has been kind of fluctuating. 76.094 is what I'm getting here. So I do like to check between these two. Usually Wax on Edge is giving me the best deal. So right now it actually seems like this is going to be the trade I want to make. So I'm going to make this trade. You can see the route that this trade is taking. Oh, this is probably, it seems like Wax on Edge isn't looking at the Wombat token pool, because look, the route it's taking here is USDT into Wombat and then Wombat into Wax to get me that price. So let's do it. I'm going to sign this transaction, success, and swap. Now I'm going to go back to pool. I'm going to say plus, and I'm going to set my USDT as the counterpart. And then again, I'm setting my range. I wanted 5.6 as the bottom, and then 8.5 or 0.85 as the top of my range. And now when I add the liquidity here, 85 wax. Oh, wait, 5.6. Was that right? Let me double check. Yep, about 5.6, 8.5. Yep. So I want to do 85. That needs a $9 counterpart. I went a little too aggressively here. This is the range I want to use. So I'm just going to take the USDT side so that it only takes what it needs here. So I'm going to add liquidity initially here. This is going to add the liquidity to the pool as well as stake it to the farm, all in one transaction. So we'll see it pop up here and in just a second. So if I refresh my Alcor pool, we'll see, we'll see in a second. And then the other thing I wanted to do was I now have 27 wax left. And I'm going to take, like, let's say 10 of that wax and buy some more USDT so I can add the rest of my wax to the pool. So 10 wax, 72.14. Similarly here, let's see if I get a better deal this time around, because this time 10 wax is routing just through the wax USDT pool. So it's likely I'll probably get a better deal on wax on edge if I did 10 wax here.
Doctor says, since he's charging fees on the routing, in this one case,
that's a very rare case, honestly. I almost always get a better deal here, even factoring the routing fees. So let's see on this one. Right now it's 72.14, 72.14. So it's about exactly the same, and it's probably because it's doing literally the same route. So you can see in this case there is no routing fee, so it's actually the same as using the same trade here. So let me come back over here, and I'm going to do this just because I didn't want to refresh. And there we go. We did the swap. Now we have 17 wax and 72. So now I can go back to pool. At this point, I'm going to refresh. It's gonna populate with my pool. It takes sometimes a second for Alcor to see the new liquidity you've made. So I'm going to come here and then say increase liquidity. And then let's see, 17. Nope, that's too much. So we'll do this, add the liquidity here. And then the remainder of this, instead of trying to like chase this down, what I want to do now is, so you can see here, I've added the liquidity. I'm looking to make about 6 cents per day at the current volume that this pool is experiencing. And if I go over to farm, we'll see here it's already said staking. So it's automatically been staked. You see I'm already starting to earn some wax rewards. And so that's exactly what I wanted to do. I have about 10 wax left. And so what I'm going to do with the last 10 wax here is I'm going to do what we did with the other wax. If I go to the wallet and I go to open orders, you can see we've been trading index tokens. We're waiting for our index token orders to fill. So I'm going to go to here, and you can see we're actually next in line. So our token is going to sell relatively soon here, it looks like. So it is what is that? It is 50. We bought this for 50 wax and we're trying to sell it for 50.22 wax. So it's about 2%, 4%, right? No, 0.4%. So that'd be 0.4% profit in a week, the index token. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to source this index token. I'm not going to source it from my own order here. I'm going to go to waxtools.net. Here it is. And I'm going to sign into our wallet. So let's say launch. And yoink, let's launch into the wallet. This is the index token is basically a rebase token for a trade bot. So you can see if you go to like the dashboard, you can see that the trade bot is basically holding. These are holders of index tokens. This is the trade bot. So this is the distribution of all the wax that this index token has allocated. The trade bot is trading, and the money that it makes, it pumps into index token. So the way I can grab these is by clicking here, index swap, and then I'm going to use 10 wax to buy some index tokens. So I have 10.9. I'm just going to keep the 0.9 just for nice round math numbers. I just want 10 wax worth. So it's going to get me 6.66. Say bye. And then similarly, I'm going to set a transaction sent but not confirmed. Confirmed. Boom. So now I've earned some index tokens here. I can jump back over to Alcor now that I have some index tokens in my wallet here, 6.6 whatever. I can add those to, let's see if I add those to my current spot price. That's not the price I want to sell at. I want to, make a little bit of money above my 10 wax. So at 0.5, by just clicking on these prices, it updates for me down here. So you can see if I do that, I can set this up. So I want to make, let's say this is 0.3%. I think 0.3% in a week is pretty not like asking for too much. And you can also see, the liquidity depth chart is like the big, here you can actually toggle it on. So it gets pretty deep pretty quickly. But these, you can see how much is waiting to be bought. So I'm going to do let's do this one. 0.1, nope. Let's do 0.2. There you go. That is going to be about 0.33% profit if this sells at 0.2. And let's see, there's a gap between 0.2 and 0.4. So I'll just do 0.3 to have a price going in at that gap, and maybe we get lucky. So I'm going to sell the index tokens that we just bought at that price. So I'm signing this transaction. This is also really easy when the transaction fees are 0. So that's another reason why I really love the current index model or the current resource model for Wax. But you can see here, these are now my open orders looking to sell. So these are, I've bought the index token and I'm waiting for the bot to basically buy them back from me at a profit. So next week, hopefully we can come back here and we'll have made our 50.22 wax from this sale. And if we're lucky, maybe this price has also climbed up to here and we've made back 10.00998 wax. So that would be about 0.1% actually on that swap, which again, it doesn't sound like a lot, but if we're doing that on each week and compounding the performance of that can be quite lucrative. I also have set a limit buy order here so you can see how thin the liquidity is. My buy is pretty low, but you can definitely set buy orders, and then you can see, sometimes if I set this to like the daily chart, sometimes there are these wicks down, and if there is a dump like that, like somebody exiting this position, they can, like these here, those orders can fill. And if that happens, great, that'll be wonderful, because then we'll buy these index tokens and probably be able to sell them immediately at a profit. So that's kind of a like a moonshot play. That's also why we only put up like 2 wax into this, 2.68 wax or something like that. But if that does happen, then cool, we end up with 2.9 index token. And if we resell the index token, 2.9, then we'd get double our wax right away. Either way, I've been following kind of loosely this index token's performance, which is right here. And what this is, you can come to the analytics. This is basically taking your wax and like giving it to the trade bot, and then the trade bot is using it to buy back into index. If you wanted to participate in this is exposure to wax without a counterpart. The counterpart obviously is this protocol. And if you do buy some index tokens, you can come to the account tab here, index bank, and then under account, you can then deposit your index tokens into the contract address. And once they're deposited, you can stake them. And if they're staked, they're earning, obviously the index token is appreciating with the price appreciation in terms of wax, but on top of that, they would also be earning a reward in Wax, which is paid out multiple times per day. So depending, I think in my wallet, I did this about 3 weeks ago with 1,000 Wax. The index token value is now 1,020, and I also have about 2 Wax that I can claim. You can claim the rewards anytime, but unstaking has a 3-day unlock period, similar to unstaking Wax if you're staking Wax. But this is an interesting thing, and I've been trying to incorporate that a little bit into our position. The other pool we have here looks like Wombat Wax. We did that because
you claim that's an account, right?
Yes. So if you want to claim the Wax that you've earned from staking, you want to come up here to account, Index Bank. You want to click on your account, and then if you have anything to claim, you want to toggle this to Wax, and it'll show you what you have claimable right now, and then you can just withdraw that anytime and claim the Wax performance here. And then again, if you wanted to unstake and sell, you'd unstake here. And then I generally like to sell on Alcor, so I would just come to Alcor Market and find index index. There it is, index, and it's the one with the contract address for it, or the wallet that issues it is Stable Tokens. So I would come here. And if I wanted to sell it, I would just set a limit order pretty much right on wherever the current limit order is, because that's a relatively good deal. Otherwise, the better place there is no swap pool for it. So the swap for it exists here under index swap, and then you can sell them here. So for example, we bought 6.66. So you can see it would have sold the 10 that we bought. This represents the price spread basically between the current buy and sell. But this is kind of where you would swap in and out, and that's price spread is why I would use a limit order for this as well. But yeah, that's kind of where you can mess with the index token here. The other thing I wanted to look at is the last thing I wanted to do actually is the Wax Wombat pool. We supplied some liquidity here. We're still in range, so we did a pretty wide range for a Wax Wombat. A lot of our Wax has sold into Wombat as the price of Wax has pumped, and the Wombat hasn't kept up quite as aggressively. But the main thing I want to see is my farm performance. And if I toggle this to staked only, I don't see that pool here anymore. And that's because it's now under finished. So I need to toggle to finished. And this is no longer paying rewards. And you can see I'm staking here, and I've earned 44 cents of USDT, but I'm not earning anything anymore. So this is, this is ended. And so I want to move this position back out into something that is paying farm rewards. So I'm going to go to active here, unstake or untoggle staked only. Take a look here. I could still make a Wombat yield through the Wombat USDT pool. So I'm going to do this instead. This is paying 96%. It's still running for 71 days, so it won't expire while we're not looking. So we'll be looking again, obviously, next week. So until then, let's remove this liquidity and add it to that different pool. So I'm going to come up here.
Change our liquidity pool rewards over, since I was telling people in Discord yesterday, maybe we just reward both DeFi Box and Alcor for the next 2 weeks. But I'm going to do an announcement saying,
yeah, good call.
DeFi Box is axed from the Neon liquidity rewards.
So I've withdrawn this. Now if I go to wallet, you'll see it's claimed the USDT, the 44 cents, and the Wombat and the Wax.
Can you reach out to the team to see if we can automate our Neon rewards?
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I chat with them quite often. So the thing I'm going to do for this one is I want to put liquidity into this pool, Wombat USDT. And again, if I go to farm, I need to make sure it's the correct pool. And you can see here, it's the 0.3% pool. So USDT Wombat into the 0.3% pool. That's where I need to put my liquidity. So first thing I want to do here is I'm going to swap the remainder of my Wax. I'll just swap this into, let's do USDT because we have more Wombat than USDT as it stands. Yeah, we do. Okay, so I'll do Wax. The last bit of my Wax, I'm going to swap here. It's routing directly like that. And we did this swap a second ago on Wax on Edge, and it was doing the same price. So instead of checking again, I'm just going to go straight ahead with it since we got some work to finish still. But So now I've made this swap, and now I'm going to go to pool, and again, I'm going to say create a new pool. Here, I'm going to set this to Wombat. The other token I want to be USDT. And just to get me started, I'm going to click here, the 30 and 30. This is going to put my liquidity in both sides, of that pool. And then you can see if I add my current balance of USDT, it's going to look for a counterpart at 415 Wombat. I have 794. So what I can do is I can change this side. And I also maybe change this side, like tighten this a little bit. And then reassess that. Let's see if tightening it is, loosening it, I guess. So I want to go a little bit further down. Let's go down to like that. And I want to bring this up as close to 794 as I can. And so I'm going to go down a little further. And let's go down a little bit here as well. And then re-click the max 7. Let's go a little further down. Drop that. That might have been too far. Nope, not yet. 778. Let's see. 800 is too far. So 778 is going to be about where we can set a range. So now I can set a range 20% above current spot and almost 40% below. And I want to use the pool 0.3%. So we'll add liquidity here. Sign that transaction. Success. It's not showing up just yet, but that was pretty quick that time. And then since we just added this liquidity, you can see there's already yield being made by the pool from people trading against it. So this will change in real time as the price changes here. And then of course, if we go to the farm now, if I toggle this to staked only, now you can see both of these pools are staking, and this guy is going to be earning Wombat tokens at a rate of 96% APR to the value of my total liquidity pool. And then this one is going to be at 53% paid in wax. So we can always look through these pools and find little places to participate. You can see, Wax Honey is paying pretty good honey rewards and some wax rewards. Some of these are paying really aggressively. Like NFTV USDT is paying at 140%. Some of them are over 1,000, like this guy here, WNG. But be careful, because it's likely that the WNG token is going to be selling off more aggressively than the rewards will keep pace with. So if I were to, for example, look at that chart, I'm very sure the WNG token is just selling and losing value relative to wax. Because there's no way that they're going to be paying that yield and maintaining a price that's competitive to the wax price. So it's likely that even though you're making 1,300% APR, that APR isn't going to keep. Yeah, look at this. Whoop. We're at the 1 minute chart here too, by the way. So if I zoom out, let's see. I'm pretty sure it's just down, 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 down. Yep. A big old spike here. But yeah, overwhelmingly, it's just selling off. And it's selling off pretty aggressively. I don't know. This isn't like looking like something I want to participate in. A little too risky. I'd rather stick to tokens that I know, and those tokens for this coming week are going to be USDT Wax and USDT Wombat. So we're earning these liquidity yields here. And what else we have going on for next week is in our wallet. If we click on the wallet tab under open orders, we've bought some index token, and we're now waiting basically for the price of index token to appreciate a little bit, and then our limit orders to fill, and us to basically make a little bit of a percentage here, spot trading or limit trading index tokens. Yeah, that's pretty much everything I want to do for the week. So let's leave it at that before all this gets kind of too overwhelming and it starts going in one ear and out the other.
You can market trade for USDT if you don't want to swap for it.
Yep. Yeah, you can.
Exclamation point neon if you'd like to join this giveaway. And then we're going to land this plane. Are you making any positions to catch the Wombat price falling tomorrow? I don't know if you saw it too. I tagged you in that.
Oh, the WNG.
I was asking about what you should do. The
For which one?
Payout is on Wednesday. Would like a refresher on the best way to position yourself in the farm/pools. Like if you are playing it to drop 6% in price immediately on payout, are you making an out of range pool in the -3 to 5% range, or are you letting your current pool get bought out?
Generally, like in this position, I'm going to be letting the pool ride, but like you said, 6%, we have 40% range below our current price, so we'll be all right letting that happen, and then hopefully letting it pump back. And like ideally, what we want for as liquidity providers is we want the price, generally speaking, to kind of stay flat while the trading volume is high. That's how we do the best. So what would also be a fine like performance would be, you know, a steep drop with a like recovery phase, because ultimately that's fine, because that represents trading volume, and that represents, you know, our price staying kind of consistent while we actually are earning some fees. Generally speaking, though, if you know such an event is coming up, a good move would be to sell the Wombat before the event into something like Wax or USDT, and then place the USDT into a liquidity pool asymmetrically. So you're only supplying USDT and waiting to buy at a lower range. So that way, when the price does fall 10% or 6% or whatever, your liquidity pool becomes in range, and then you basically are buying at a much cheaper price than you had already sold at. And that's when you start participating back in the liquidity. Once you're kind of like 50-50 bought back in, you could then close the pool and reopen a new position with a wider range, so that way you're it's just in time for you to get sliced. But yeah, that would be kind of like the way I like to play those things, where I'll sell before such an event. I'll set a liquidity position to capture that price action on the way down. And then once I've captured it, I'll close the liquidity position and reopen it with a wider range again. So that way I can kind of realize, you know, the gain from front running that move, and not just kind of like, you know, open it and kind of let it drop into range and then push back out of range. Because at that point, you know, that's still not a bad scenario, because at the end of the day, if that did happen, you would be left with the same amount of USDT that you started with, plus the fees from trading while the pool was in range. But generally speaking, I like to, you know, let my pool get in range, and then once I'm in range and I see that the price movement is like kind of chilling out or has like run out of steam on the way down, I'll remove the liquidity and create the range a little bit wider, so that I have room for the way up again. And that way I can, you know, get a nice selling, but an average selling on the way up again at a higher price limit than where I entered.
Why will Wombat be falling? That's because they're giving the rewards for the Wombat Dungeon season out tomorrow. So they give out like, I don't know, like I don't know the number, like 100K Wombat or something, right? A lot of Wombat.
Yeah, and then people will cash out. A lot of like the users will cash their Wombat into Wax or into some other tokens potentially. And so generally on the cash out or on the Wombat reward day, the pools experience a bit of a drastic drop, which generally comes right back up within the next few days. But it's not guaranteed to happen. You know, they could do their payout and then announce some kind of Wombat use case or some kind of token sync and get a lot more. You know, there's definitely been times when the payout hasn't really affected the price. But overwhelmingly, that is kind of what we've observed too, where whenever they do a payout, there is a little bit of a sell-off, like a selling frenzy of the newly distributed tokens, you know, hitting the market.
Before we end, I want to show this ghetto soccer game I've been playing. I got it last night. It's $10 on Steam. We get into playing more sports games, and this one's like, it's a real indie game, but there's no like pay to win mechanics. You can't level your players up. It's kind of like Rocket League. Everybody has the same exact stats. It's all about who can fucking finesse the ball better. But I know we got some European friends watching. Maybe y'all can get into this game and teach me how soccer works, because I fucking suck. I get burned in this game.
This is true too, by the way. What Paca's saying. Is this like STG kind of, but for soccer?
Yeah, except STG has stats and stuff, like better players and worse players. There's literally no stats. Like everybody, you get to customize what your guy looks like, but fuck, I hope they don't make me goalkeeper.
I think the Wombat rewards distributions are per season. So I think the seasons are like, every couple months, I believe. It's not weekly. It's kind of like a pretty spread out. This guy looks hilarious. Perfectly round.
Purple afro. And right back, which means I'm on defense.
Damn, the field is.
These are all real players. So like every one of these guys is real. You only control one guy. It's not like a sports game where you get to control the whole team. God, don't throw it to me. I suck. You throw it to me. We have no goalie. What's going on? We do have. No
you better get in the goal.
I'm so bad at goalie. I got banned from the last server I played goalie on because I was so bad, and they're just like, "Are you trolling?" I was like, no, I am legitimately this bad. Dribbling, like you have to right click every time you dribble, so that guy's making it look really easy by shooting people. I like can't even run with the ball. I'm so fucking bad. Oh fuck, he saved it.
Wait, did he score?
No, the goalkeeper saved it. Right back.
Yeah, PS1 graphics, totally.
I kind of like the shitty graphics because it means like anybody with any computer can play. You don't need a good computer.
Yeah, Mocha, do you know how often do the seasons roll over? How long are the seasons usually for Wombat?
For deep toss, I think.
Oh wow, 25 million token.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Our goal's wide open.
Oh, homie's got it, dude. It's every month. Okay, yeah. So Ferris, every month there's a payout of new Wombat tokens, and that's basically the main way that new Wombat tokens enter circulation.
Oh, how do you block it?
I like went right through you. What the fuck?
I think I have to click a button to hit that.
Yeah.
Goalkeeper.
Oh, it's every 3 weeks, and then there's like a week of like in between seasons. Oh, this is what you do as a goalie. You can only stay on that line. Oh, never mind. It looked like you could only move left and right.
You can only pick up the ball in this box. Fuck.
Uh-oh. Nice. I like that.
No! Oh. Fucking cooked. I'm so bad at goalie. At least I dove in the right direction that time. You missed the really easy ones. That's when people start getting pissed off. If anybody else wants to play soccer with me, I have to work for the next couple hours, but later tonight I'm going to be playing this. It's pretty fucking fun, to be honest. Like, even though I'm bad at it, I feel like it's going to take like 10 to 20 hours just to not suck. That's okay. Ah, they're getting so close.
Let's see.
I think left alt is pick up the ball. Player 2, we're down 1.
It looks like it's almost always on the 24th, 25th.
God damn it. Corner kick. What? That was out on them. That was not out on me. Did I touch it? Yes, I got it.
Oh, nice. You got to 10 meters.
I was trying to drop kick it. I pressed the wrong button. Out of bounds. Let's go. That should be ours. What? That was out on them again, I swear. Bull kick.
Let's see. I don't know if this is the main like distribution schedule for Wombat tokens, but here's what I found on their white paper about when the distribution schedule for Wombat is.
King is really skilled in this game because if you flick your mouse, that's which direction the ball turns. So if you flick left, it curves left. If you flick up, it goes higher. But people can do some like wicked spin shots. My kick, I should have flicked up there and got it deeper. Made one stop though. That's better than sometimes stoppage time. 15. End of match. All right. I just want to show a little bit of that, though. I'm going to get sucked in this for hours and need to fucking work, so. Let's see how many points I got. I got 30 points for one catch and one pass.
Yeah. Yeah, Ferris, that white paper also has a bunch of information on like their reward structure and everything. If you like read through some of those, you can check it out.
That game is $10 on Steam if anybody wants to play it. Played it for a couple
It's
hours.
cool that there's so many people playing it. I gotta say, I'm surprised how many people are on there for a non-free game.
I want to say like, let me see if I can go to the store page. Like, there's a shit ton of reviews. That's why I bought it. I was like, is this gonna be a dead game? If I get it, there's 13,000 positive reviews.
Damn.
Like a ton of people play this game. There's a ton of Turkish people. Like, if you read the chat, people just talk shit about Turkish people constantly. They're like, the Turkish people are fucking ruining the game. But I play on a like right now the American servers are running, but at night I have to play on the European servers. I usually just play on like the English speaking servers because there's ones that are clearly like Turkish servers, but you can select the ones that are written in English and then people are typing in English. All right. Should you buying the dip and then raid into Novo PNG?
Buying the dip feels inappropriate for how much we're pumping right now. But yeah,
into Sasha. I haven't seen Sasha in a hot minute.
How are we pumping? Still pumping? Let's see.
That's the opposite of buying the dip. It's buying the pump.
Okay, it's chilling out a little bit. It didn't push beyond that second like orange line that we added today into the chart.
Man, your boy Kevin just lost lots of money. Oh, but that's okay. I am with you, with you. Oh man, your boy Kevin just lost lots of money. Oh, but that's okay. I am with you. Here we go, come on, push it, buy the dip, buy the dip. Here we go, come on, push it, buy the dip, buy the dip. Here we go, come on, push it, buy the dip, buy the dip. Here we go, come on, push it. Oh my God, what's happening?
First of all this whining by Wall Street is making me sick. 140% of GameStop was short. GameStop was short. You can't allow Wall Street to short 75% of its stock. Crush these companies into the dirt. Thousands of stocks into the dirt. And when the individuals make money, everyone's entrepreneurs. I have a kid who bought a house, paid $50,000 and bought a house. After decades of the shorts, you have to accept the fact that individual investors are playing the same game that you're playing, and now you're losing.
Here we go, come on, push it, buy the dip, buy the dip. Here we go, come on, push it, buy the dip, buy the dip. Here we go, come on, push it, buy the dip, buy the dip. Here we go, come on, push it. Oh my God, what's happening? Here we go, come on, push it, buy the dip, buy the dip. Here we go, come on, push it, push it, push it, buy the dip. Here we go, come on, push it, buy the dip, buy the dip. Here we go, come on, push it. Oh my God, what's happening?
There's a lot of power in organizations.
Why did you say don't go to Sasha?
People can get together in a subreddit. Think it's really fun.
Oh.
The GameStop stock is
I don't
going
know.
up and just affects the market in that way. There's 28,000 people live in a
Sorry.
Discord who are spamming rocket
Oh,
emojis,
he's sleeping?
yelling,
Cancel the raid. Cancel the raid. We'll check it out.
He turned on a 3D printer and is probably sleeps. That's kind of fucking wild. Let's see. I'm curious to see how much printing progress he's made.
That makes sense why only 4 people are watching. Oh my God, I played another ad because I hit refresh. That's annoying.
This is pretty savage when the crypto satire video has better graphics than the than most of the crypto games out there. Yeah. Okay, not a whole lot of progress yet. I don't know what it's supposed to be just yet. A castle. Okay.
All right, we're gonna raid into Novo Pangea then.
Oh yeah. That reminds me again, I need to go check on my workers and my creatures. Oh, the goal is on the bottom right. Okay.
We'll be on tomorrow for Off the Rails. We play some funny funny Reddit, TikTok, Instagram
I found
videos.
I got some good ones this week.
We'll probably go over Mac's vacation updates. Max just got back from some tiny island.
Yeah. K Colker. I don't know. I'm so bad at speaking.
And maybe I'll play some more of that soccer game. I've been enjoying that soccer game. And we're going to work on, we've got our Neon Space profile picture project coming out, and got to render 1,000 song loops, and I'm at
trying to make our deadline. It's an ass load of work, so hopefully we can hit it. Otherwise, we'll come on and apologize and postpone. We'll see.
I think that's pretty likely at this point, but
Yeah, we'll let you know. But
should at least
I
get
don't
the
know.
music done by the end of the week.
I feel like I'd rather postpone it and fucking like have something cool than like rush something out. So
yeah, that should be done. Hopefully, I think at least by the end of the fucking year we should have it. That's what the Hamster is asking.
oh, for sure. Yeah, by the end of the year, definitely.
We were hoping by Black Friday, but
Black Friday
like
is it's pretty.
2 weeks is coming up on this Friday, so
It's pretty ambitious. There's so much to do between then and now because I got to upload 1,000 images and 1,000 videos. Like this is after finishing them, of course. I got to upload them.
Into them. Well, if anybody's still hearing us, goodbye. Have fun with Nova Pangea. See you tomorrow. Peace out, everybody.